Is this thing on? What's going on, YouTube world? Have to do it. It's synonymous with the IRP. Can't help it. But we got Michael. We've got Brad. We've got. I'm Steve. IRP number 180. Fourth year for this topic. We're going to talk NFL draft with our good friend Brad, 8671. The last 2 years we've had to pay Brad to come on because now he's Hall of Fame. So we cherish these moments. For those who are asking, Dave will be on more heavier on the ish. So he did want us to start without him, which is a little unusual. I'm not used to this, but I feel like I did okay. A few house cleaning items before we kind of jump in and start talking a few things before we actually get into the draft topics for the evening. New poll/survey is up on the IRP channel for the next iteration of a walk down memory lane. Last week we did 97 Skybox Premium Football. Personally, I think it went really well. We didn't get any positive or negative feedback, so hopefully everybody enjoyed it. We know Michael was inspired to go pick up a card or look for a card. And Lowest Rung did the same thing, as a matter of fact. So we at least had inspired a few people to go look at some cards from that set. So it's 3 of the 4 from the first poll/survey. 93 Upper Deck Football, 96 Stadium Club, 97 Fleer Ultra, and we've added 99 EX Football. I at least wanted to get it out there for everybody in case you haven't seen it. There has already been 9 votes as of us going live. And so far, 99 EX is basically walking away with everything, which we kind of had a feeling.
Can't choose a cheap box for me to rip simultaneously, can you?
No, that'll be later. When we do the other thing that we've talked about for a lot of years. 2, if you have not watched, Brad did post his mock draft yesterday. So I urge you all to go watch it. I did watch it today because I'm always intrigued to hear what Brad has to say in preparation for this episode. But here we get the details. So I will also say thank you, Ty, for giving us a shout out, mentioning Brad being on this evening as well. I always kind of look forward to this topic of conversation. It's nice to have Michael here too, because Michael's a football guy. Be interesting to hear what, maybe hot takes he has, but how's everybody doing? I'll start that off first. Brad?
Yeah, pretty fantastic. Doing the work, eat, sleep routine, But yeah, pumped to see this tomorrow night. I think it will be very interesting because last couple years, I feel like there hasn't been as much drama as what could be tomorrow night. So,
agreed, very much so. Michael, you?
I've been doing good. It was a crazy weekend of spending money and then selling stuff to recoup that money. Because Brad knows that. Brad knows there's 2 more coming in. But
would you like to share the recent pickup real quick?
I mean, I can.
Well, you have the stage.
What a freaking card.
That is a stunner.
Just beautiful. What year is that?
2016, still sealed from Panini, from the redemption.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And the case isn't all scratched to hell. But
which is even better.
Yeah. No, I think this draft is going to be a hell of a lot more fun than the last few years. There's so much talent, and there's just been so much talk about what's going to happen in the top, 5 picks of this draft, and I don't have really a clue of where most people are going. I just hope the Bears continue to fail.
Well, I have no opinion on that. It is good to have Vinny back. It's good to see his semi-smiling face. He's been around, but not around for reasons. But it is good to see you back. Good to see you chatting it up. Your smiling face when you decide to smile. And you're not wearing a fucking hat. Like, what the hell?
I don't know. It's been a rough 2 weeks, 3 weeks somewhere. It's been a rough since last April. To tell you the truth, the highlight was we went to the National, and then the kids moved out last Friday. So it's just me, the better half, and C now in the house with Galaxy. It seems empty without Dryden and Ghost.
And it will.
And then dealing with some medical stuff, and it's like my favorite meme says, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. It's been a lot of shit. Malakia, as the guy goes. He's in Greece. So it's been
2 profanities, and we're only 6 minutes 50 seconds
whatever.
into the show.
Sorry, Dad. It's my noggin. I hurt my neck lifting the couch, so that has my neck stiff as a board, and then headaches from the blood pressure type things. But every day I'm getting a smidge better. And last week I probably couldn't even sit on here and talk because my head was just sideways. And it was rough, but I feel way better than I did a week ago. And I got a box. I found this. It's dented, so this has no resale value. So 2022 Prestige, open at during the festivities. And then Eric's not here, so I'll show a card. Yeah. So I'll show a card too. I don't think I showed this one. I don't usually pull off an autograph so early in the year, but this is one of my favorites. It's the setup. Look at the setup. It's the Badger Bob setup. So, I mean,
It's a beaut.
This auto is like perfectly centered too.
It is just dead nut centered auto. It's sticker. I mean, it is sticker, but for a sticker, and it's 36 of 50. So there's only 50 of these bad boys out there, and I've wanted this one. I'm picky on the autos. The autos got to be in the back solid. It's got a nice little write up. It's Panini, and this is just one of those that are just damn.
It's a nice looking card.
I love the colors.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's framed really well.
This is that, and then I got this one. So 2 autos within the first 6 months of the year. I think I showed this one. I can't remember. This is 99 of 99.
Ooh,
I haven't bought much. And this is on card. So 2 Panini, one's out of Playbook, the other one's out of Prime, and it's just
that Panini Prime product for hockey was really nice.
Every time I see it that I can try to, I just got 2 of them went on ComC number to 25 last night.
Mm-hmm.
And the one guy, I've been buying a bunch of stuff. He's selling his Lemieux collection out of Pittsburgh. And I've bought a lot from him. And he had, for the price he had, the 1 to 199, They had 2 of them on ComC last night, numbered to 25 for like $20 a piece, 20 something, 23. And I was like, I can't pass these up because they're just gorgeous. I just love the Panini Prime. The hollow foil on there is subtle, but it's there. It hits the light beautifully. It's just, I've cut back on buying. So
She didn't hear that.
of course we didn't. That'd be the selective hearing. And I got another cracked ice Lemieux last night. What? Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yes.
James Harrison, Lance Parrish.
Yes, dear.
Yeah, your birthday's coming up.
Yes, dear.
Yeah.
That solves it all. Huh? What?
Well, huh?
Kiss my ass? What?
What? What? Who?
What? Where? Why? How? What was that? Something about Friday?
Practice with Ennis.
Oh, I was like, was that part of this conversation, or was she carrying on a conversation with you?
Separate.
Or with herself, for all we know? You know, the voices in her head. You know. Anyways, I digress. So Dave, of course, wants to be here when we deep dive going into the draft. But Brad, out of curiosity, talk more about the big name quarterbacks. What is there, 5, 6 that are potential first rounders? It is 6, isn't it?
Yep.
Just trying to think. I was trying to prepare myself, making sure I remembered all of them. So give us a deep dive in what you what you're thinking as it pertains to the top guys from a quarterback perspective. Pros and cons. Who do you think's most NFL ready? Mind you, we always talk about this. We always preface this. These are opinions. Although Brad does watch a lot of film when it comes to the draft, so I mean, I feel like his opinions do have weight. So I am curious to know your thoughts as it pertains to the main quarterbacks so far, and if you think any of those top guys may drop into the second round.
Okay, so first you'll get 4 guaranteed. Automatically, you'll get Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy for sure. The ironic part, probably the best pure thrower in the draft, Michael Penix, may not go in round 1 because he has had 4 season-ending injuries. Shoulder, knee, all 4 years in a row. He was finally healthy last season. But no one will throw a prettier pass in this draft than that guy. All right. The problem with Michael Penix, if you look from a clean pocket to a dirty pocket, he has the biggest disparity of anyone in this draft. So he has the number 1, any kind of quarterback rating, QBRs you want to look at. He's number 1 from a clean pocket. He's near dead last from a dirty one. So basically what you have there is Jared Goff. Okay? Now, not bad. He turns into Jared Goff. You're happy with that. But you got the 4 years straight of injury concerns. I always say if it happens 3 times, that's a trend. So I think it's worthy of talking about. Guy gets hurt once, it's football. It happens. 3 or more, that's a trend. So he may fall out of the first round. That would be the only reason why. And because he got hurt 4 times, he's been in college 6 years. So he's going to be 24 when the season starts. So you don't have much time for development. That would make him older than like Jordan Love, for instance. Okay. So think about that. But we'll start at the top here. Caleb Williams, seen as a generational talent. His only cons really is he's only 6 foot. Again, how tall are NFL linemen? 6'3" and higher, right? Do the math. Why that can be an issue, right? He's loose with the ball in terms of fumbling. He doesn't throw picks. He emulates Aaron Rodgers. He even says so. And you can see it in his game from time to time. So he is careful in terms of not throwing it into traffic, but he's one of those holds the ball with one hand, whether he's in the pocket, outside the pocket, getting tackled, hence 30 fumbles in 2 years. He's only thrown like 8 picks in 2 years, but 30 fumbles. But what makes him special is he can throw off any platform. Fading away, moving to the right, moving to the left, off balance. Where like a guy like Michael Penix has to be on balance, in structure. Caleb can throw it. That's what makes him the special, and people say generational. Because it's something you can't teach. It's something you wouldn't teach. And he can put it on a rope. 2 years ago, he played in structure. Last year, it was all hero ball. And that's because the offensive line stunk. Literally 3-man rushes back there in a second and a half. It was ridiculous. So people give him crap about kind of running around too much or playing the hero ball. Well, last season, he kind of had to. So I wouldn't call him generational. He's good. He's just a strange individual. I've never met so many people with the number 1 pick where the fans don't really like the guy they're going to draft. I mean, it's so.
So do you, Dave. Is it possible, though? Is it possible that Chicago doesn't draft Caleb Williams?
No.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, and the only reason is this is a lottery ticket. This is a pick you should not have had. You have to take the guy that can be the cross between the greats. Supposedly, that's so you almost have to take him and just hope that his quirks end up being a good thing and not a negative thing. If that makes sense. But overall, like I said, the guy can sling it from anywhere at any platform. So that's why he's considered generational. I think Drake May is the second best quarterback. Again, another guy who it's recency bias. Everyone loves Jaden Daniels because of last year. If I would show you 2 years ago, you would say Drake May is way better than Jaden Daniels. But he had a wide receiver go to the NFL, 2 linemen go to the NFL. He comes back. He doesn't have as good a team around him. It doesn't look as good. But this guy has the ideal build. If I'm building a quarterback, you want him 6'4", 220. The guy's he's not like Josh Allen tank, but he's like the perfect size, And he's athletic, throws a beautiful deep ball. Problem is he misses the easy ones. The easy stuff he misses because his footwork sucks. But I always say at least that's something that can be taught, So to me, his problem is something that can be easily taught. I think he's the second best one. Third, I would say is probably Jaden Daniels due to the big play factor. He had 90 plays of 20-plus yards this season, whether he was running or throwing. And you remember how good Joe Burrow was the year they were slinging it around. He had 87. And Jaden Daniels played 3 less games. So that gives you an idea of how they like to play. Problem is he doesn't use the middle of the field at all. He isn't asked to do it. It's usually kind of the opposite for someone in quarterbacks. They don't like to throw outside the numbers. He's the exact opposite. If he throws in the middle of the field, it was 40 yards down the field. So he does not. Zone coverage is how you would have to play this guy. That's my one concern. I'm sure defensive coordinators aren't that stupid that that's what they would start with when he plays. Can you make the 6-yard pass on an in cut? Or are you just going to run around? But he's fast, but he's small, like skinny small. Not height small, but skinny small. And he takes hit after hit. It reminds me of Robert Griffin too much. So he's got to learn not to take those hits because he will not last. at that frame especially. But another guy, he's just a big play waiting to happen. But I have a lot of concerns about any team that would play zone coverage against him. I think that's going to be his kryptonite. Fourth, J.J. McCarthy. He's asked to make 4 plays a game. And honestly, he did it most of the time. So he was the toughest evaluation because you have to – I look at third down in red zone with a guy like that. How do you do on third down when I need a 3rd and 6, which he isn't in many 3rd and 6s, so it's hard to find. And he does make some tight window throws. He is athletic. He is 6'3", got good size. But he just didn't do a whole lot. His team was really good. He did what he was asked to do, and he won games. He won games in high school. He won games in college. So there is something to be said for that. But you're talking top 10 pick for a guy you haven't really seen do it. I'm going to pass on. I would have to pass on that. But.
This may be a lazy comparison, but man, he just feels a whole hell of a lot like Mac Jones. A guy who did not have to do much.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, a few weeks out of the draft, he's a top 5 pick. How the hell did this happen? That's just what it feels like.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad comparison. Now, he's like way more athletic than Mac Jones,
right.
But it's the same scenario of no one ever thought of this guy as like an NFL quarterback really prior to this season.
Yeah.
He overperformed, though, in the private workouts, which is why his draft capital went up, because anybody he went and did a private workout for, they were like impressed.
Exactly. Yeah, a coach is going to love him. Harbaugh has talked him up.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a guy you get in a room, he's going to be your favorite person.
Yeah.
He is a leader. He's safe from the standpoint he will never cause a problem. You know, but I'm just not sure how good he is. His I have the least amount of opinion on because I have 3 plays a game to go off of. I mean, he was asked, I think, twice to win a game, you know, for more than one drive, you know, in his whole college career. So tough to evaluate. I don't have a strong opinion, but I don't know how that's a top 10 guy. But by all accounts, it seems like that's going to be the case. And last but not least, I've made this fun of this guy last time I was on here. Thought he was a 4th round pick. So I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch more. Maybe I missed something, right? So we're talking about Bo Nix. I said, okay, I'll watch with an open mind here. I still feel about the same way. I'm not going to lie. All right, Auburn tape is absolutely horrible, okay? Now, in his defense, there was no structure to that, and he did not play well in that fashion. Okay, so I'll throw that out. He goes to Oregon, pinpoint passer, right? Problem is he's a one-read quarterback. All right, Oregon designs a lot of screens, a lot of short stuff. They do a great job of it, and he did a great job of it. So this isn't – he did what he was asked to do, similar to J.J. McCarthy, right? But he is very limited. Again, off-platform, next down, okay? He's not helping you out. He's got some athleticism, but it almost seems like unless it's a designed run, you're not getting a whole lot. And like I said, he can throw. If you say, hey, here's the 7-yard slant on your back foot at 3, he can do it all day. That's why the ironic part is everyone says the perfect fit for him is Sean Payton. So that's the ironic part. But there's no way you could take this guy at 12.
And there is speculation that he's kind of on the list, but it would be a later round.
So because this guy does not suck. I'm not telling you he's like garbage. I think he's a permanent backup in the NFL. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need him. He's the guy
100%.
fill in twice a year, 2-3 times a year, and it's functional.
Right.
But first round pick, get out of here. I'm not on board with that at all. But like I said, he is accurate. But if the first read's not there, the play doesn't go much further than that.
I can at least say that I feel a little bit more confident that Denver's not going to trade up in the draft, because I think if they did, they would have to give up PS2, and they just signed his 5th-year option.
Yep.
So signing his 5th-year option, I would find it very odd and strange that they would move on from, and for those who don't know who PS2 is, Patrick Surtain, Surtain, however way you want to say it, it's said both ways. That's one thing that I feel a little bit better about, because I've said it before. Like, if Denver does move up in the draft to go quarterback, whatever that may be, I always felt that in order to make it work, they would have to lump in PS2. And no. If you give up Cortland Sutton and, something else, then okay, maybe. But it has to be. Denver has given up the farm way too many times over the past few years. Better yet, trade back. Get an additional pick somewhere.
That's the issue with not having a second rounder, which is, if you wanted to do it, I could live with that in the second round. If you said, hey, in my system, he will work. Okay. But they don't have a second rounder. So that's where that trade down scenario to get that second rounder, and you could take him there.
It'll be interesting to see, because like for me, and I'm only speaking for myself, I only watched the first round. Do I pay attention to what goes on in the second, third, fourth? Like, yes, I do pay attention because I am curious. Because you watch the first round, you see, Kuiper's big board and top picks and everything else, and yes, it is, but you get some of them that get knocked off because it's the right call for the right team and the right pick and the right system and so on and so forth. But you have some of those other top guys, and you're curious to see, okay, well, where did they end up? So I will always pay attention to the later rounds, and of course, I'm curious to see what Denver ultimately does. Who's the tight end that you were talking about in your video?
Brock Bowers.
There's also been talks about freaking Denver liking him. And to be quite honest, Denver needs a better tight end than what they've had over the last few years too. So I don't want to get into I don't want to start digging into details and shit, but I was curious about your thoughts on all the quarterbacks though specifically. Is there, Michael, I'm guessing you had something you wanted to chime in?
Oh, I was just going to say everybody likes Brock Bowers.
But the one thing with him, you are going to have to know how to use him. Because here's the deal. If you draft Brock Bowers, and they're like, well, he can play out wide, you've eliminated his value. His value is you don't know what the play is when he's out there. So it could be a run play, swing play. If you stick him on the outside, we've seen this with previous tight ends and why they have failed, because they don't play tight end. Then you might as well just draft a third receiver in round 2 who's going to be better than he is at doing that particular job.
That's fair.
So he is most popularly mocked to the Jets, right? The Jets are trying to win now. This is a guy that can help you, right? Yeah, I am not giving Brock Bowers to Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, I am not doing that to that guy. So why? So he's the most intriguing prospect, and I think one of the ones that have a big disparity of where he goes. I think 9 to Chicago is the earliest, and I think 18 to Bengals is the latest, because the Bengals just wouldn't let him go at that point.
Right.
But yeah, that's a 9 slot thing, and if you want a tight end, you have to take him because the tight end class is
garbage.
So it's complete projection if you're going to have a project, whoever else you draft. So, but that's what
is there, I'm going to circle back to quarterbacks just because it's easier. Is there any sleeper quarterback that you could see that may be a better value outside of Bo Nix? You already said, the earliest, like first round, no. Second round, okay, maybe a stretch. Without Bo Nix being in the conversation, is there any other quarterback out there that you think may end up being like a steal, so to speak?
Jordan Travis from Florida State's the only other one that, again, give him the right coach, right system. In 3 years, don't be surprised if he starts.
Okay.
But now it's not a slam dunk or anything, but that is literally the only guy after those guys that I could see starting a game in the NFL without, 3 guys getting hurt. Like, of course, we see crap in the NFL because the first 2-3 guys got hurt. But, yeah, I would say Jordan Travis from Florida State, who unfortunately got injured this year, which is why they got screwed in the playoff. He is the only guy I would say that'll go probably round 4 or later.
Okay.
So he'll go on day 3. And so I think, he would be worth a flyer, especially if you have an established quarterback. Perfect.
Right. Yeah, somebody who can come in, learn the system, that type of stuff. Actually, like carry the clipboard.
Right.
Something that, we always have talked about with Kenny Pickett. That poor guy. I still like Kenny Pickett. Like, I still like him. Pittsburgh did him wrong and didn't really give him a chance to even remotely be successful, unfortunately. But, yes, I'm digging on your Steelers, Vinny, just because I can't.
I can't.
Only because to be honest, I actually was hoping Denver took Kenny Pickett. Honestly. Am I happy with PS2? 100%. Like I'm not sitting there going, well, damn, we should have taken Kenny Pickett. Like, no. Like, I'm pleased with who they picked up and what he's done from a performance perspective, but there's just something about Kenny Pickett that I liked, So, but that was then. This is now. So, for those who haven't watched Brad's video, though, I'm gonna pose this to everybody in the chat, and then Vinny and Michael, I'll get your take, just for fun. Brad says in his draft and his mock draft, he only did 1 trade. He said there's going to be at least 6. Over under. Don't either one of you speak at once.
In the first round?
Yeah.
First round.
Over under 6 trades in the first round.
The question was to you, not to your wife.
She asked.
Man.
6 sounds
I
about
want to say
fair.
5 is the sweet spot, but I think there's going to be people falling or people getting a little antsy.
Yeah, there's
and I think it's going to go
so
over.
many tackles in this trade. There could be 7 in round
I think
1.
it's going over.
So it's take your flavor, and somebody's going to be like, no, I want
this
the
guy.
bigger mauler. Oh, I want the pass protector. Or I want – and I think that's actually where a lot of the – obviously, you'll have a quarterback trade. But I think the rest of them, it's going to be that. And then if there is a wide receiver heavy – because there's 3 clear number 1 wide receivers in this one. And then there's the drop-off. So 3 will go in the top 10. Pretty much guarantee that. And then it's a drop-off. So I think – so you've got a quarterback opportunity, at least one with that. Then you've got a wide receiver opportunity. And then, like I said, a lot of these tackles. So for those who don't know, we have not talked about defense really. I think this draft could set a record for offensive players in round 1. 19 is the record. It's happened 3 times. Like in my mock draft, I had 21. So, and I could count up to 23 I thought were possible. 18's the absolute worst. Like that is if something just went haywire. So I think you could see a record of at least 20 in this one.
I know Joey is so excited about the fat guys in this draft.
Oh yeah, dude.
And that is
7 legit starters.
that's where I think the Packers will focus is fat guys. I think that's
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what Brad had on his draft was them taking.
Yeah, you got the big guy from
offensive
Georgia,
lineman.
who's
Yep.
athletic but freaking humongous. But he started 8 games. As I think I said it in the video, if he was a 2-year starter, he's picked number 9, 10. But 1 year starting is going to give people pause and like, well, was it just a Georgia thing? Obviously, his team's good.
Yeah.
But this guy can move at that size. So I think it would be a very good fit for the Packers.
Well, big and athletic is like it's kind of been proven more these days that that's what you need on the offensive line.
So,
You don't just need meat. You need some athleticism.
So yeah, the intriguing part is who's going to be the first trade out. A lot of people had New England. There is no way New England is Robert Kraft is going to let them come out of this draft without a quarterback and let them start Jacoby Brissett 17 times. All right. He's not going to let that happen. All right.
Yeah,
That's like an owner step in. Like, guys, I usually let you alone. Find a quarterback you like at number 3. Okay. So I'm not buying that trade speculation. And at 4, a lot of people have the Cardinals trading. Remember, they did this last year, so they were picking 27 as well. You want 3 picks in the first round in the same draft? People don't think about the consequences long term for that. Even if you hit on these 3 guys, you ain't signing all 3 of them. Okay, at the same time like that, you just can't do it. So, like, I don't want 3 first-rounders in the same draft, you know. And the Cardinals, I think the number 1 pick, it has to be a wide receiver. You've traded away Marquise Brown, traded away Rondell Moore. You literally have Michael Wilson, who you drafted late round last year, as your best wide receiver. And Marvin Harrison hasn't done a freaking workout for anyone since this whole process started. He was promised something. I would almost guarantee it. He was either promised by the Bears to trade up or the Cardinals to take him at 4. And the only 2 top 30 visits, for people who don't know what that is, you're allowed to have 30 people come to your facility or wherever for their draft process. He went to 2 teams, Cardinals and Bears. His agent flat out said, if you don't plan on 100% taking me, I'm not visiting with you. So all the tea leaves are there that Arizona would have to get such a haul for that pick to move off of it. I think, even though a lot of people have that as a trade spot, I think that's false. I think that's a Marvin Harrison Jr. pick.
Well, I think it'd be stupid to trade off of it because of what's there and the fact of filling a major gap and hole that they need to fill. Because, like you said, 3 receivers, and then after that, it's like, But on the flip side, top tier wide receiver talent doesn't mean that it always transitions to the NFL. Sometimes those lower tiered guys actually do very well. So it's a crapshoot in those situations. And like, do you really freaking know that because I draft this guy, they're going to be like a superstar? We all know that that's not the case ever.
Yeah, nothing's a definite. Now, the closest you'll get to definite is probably this guy because he runs the whole route tree. So you want to play deep. He was doubled more than anyone in college football. And performed with a great quarterback in C.J. Stroud and performed with crap in Kyle McCord. So that's a good sign, right? Didn't matter who my quarterback was. So the Cardinals, on the 20-year anniversary of Larry Fitzgerald, can get another guy. It's like don't mess it up. It's obvious.
Right.
Don't mess it up. This Malik Neighbors stuff, no. Okay? Don't mess it up, Cardinals.
Let's talk running backs real quick. Could this be a year in which we see no running backs taken in the first round?
Yeah, there will be none in the first round, possibly none in the top 50. So it's.
And the only reason why I asked the question is because I it was a headline article, and I get a lot of shit related to Dallas just because of where I'm located. That there's a running back on the Cowboy radar. I didn't even bother to look to see who it was. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. It's like, okay, from what I've seen, what I've kind of read here and there, running backs are going to be much later in the draft than what they have in years prior. But we've all said it. Running backs are no longer your top picks. Like they're not, because the NFL is a passing offense. And unless you got a guy who can run, block,
right,
route run, catch, like, what's the point?
Yeah, and there's not one guy in this draft that checks all the boxes, which is why you will not see one in round one. But my favorite is probably Trey Benson from Florida State. He's like a bigger Devon Achane. Okay. So he's explosive like that, good balance. And I always said, man, imagine if this Achane guy was a little bigger. Could be. That's what it kind of reminded me of when I watched him. So he was my favorite, but there is not a – this is one of those where if you go look at people's like draft boards for running backs, everyone will have a different order. There is not a consensus. So like I seen Trey Benson on some people's boards at 5. And I have him as the best one. So that gives you an idea of there's not a consensus. It really is a scheme thing.
Right.
What does this guy do? Or, hey, I need the power back, or I need the scat back, whatever. It's really kind of one of those this go around. There's no Bijan Robinsons or anything like that.
Speaking of running backs, anybody have any opinions about Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back?
I was kind of surprised they actually did it. But technically, yeah, if something against the rules, I guess. But yeah, I was surprised they did it.
Well, it was against the rules at the time, but they've changed the rules and regulations surrounding it. So, like, in all fairness, just because he got extra cash didn't make him any better of a player. And that's the way I've always looked at it. You know, the Heisman is awarded to the best player in college that year. It has nothing to do with endorsements and money and everything else. He made the school a shit ton of money as it is because he was super talented. Like, you made him an example early on, but you've since changed the policy. You've since changed the rules. So to me, it was only right that they gave it back to him.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Agreed.
I mean, because he was a fucking beast that year.
Beyond beast.
Like, and he had a decent NFL career. I mean, he didn't live up to the hype completely, but
then he married Kim Kardashian, didn't he? So he had that going for him for a brief second.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Could be the worst thing, best thing that ever happened to him. You never know. Depends on the world's opinion.
See, I think he stayed out of trouble, so maybe it was the best thing. He saw like, whoa, I don't want to go in that world.
Maybe. Hello, Dave.
Is the podcast over? You talked the draft? Is it?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
I've talked some quarterbacks, Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison, and some running backs, and how it's kind of a rough class.
They're pretty weak, mid-second, late.
And I told him you can look at anybody's board and they'll all have different orders on it. So
Yes, but we haven't started doing the deep dives. Who do we think potentially may do trades? That we were waiting for you. So now that you're here, I'm going to shut up now.
No, you continue on.
No. I only signed on to start off this shindig.
You know, it's a family event.
I didn't cuss, so what was your
You
point in
said
saying
shit.
that?
I cussed more than he did. Picture that.
I said shindig. I didn't say shit. I just did. But you dropped the F-bomb more than anybody else normally, so
Oh, fuck off.
exactly. You fail to realize it's a family show.
I'm speaking in tongues.
No. That's pretty clear English, my friend.
I failed pretty bad, and I meant to go get elementary school flashcards for simple math to hold up for Steve throughout this podcast.
Fuck you.
See, I got a fuck out of you.
31 years ago.
All y'all kiss my ass.
Hey, now. No nudity.
I didn't say I was going to show my ass.
No.
We may lose subscribers if we do.
Man,
Well, there's somebody new that Hodges. Is that one of your guys, Brad or Mike? Mike the Hodges.
Yeah, I know Hodges.
Okay, never seen him before, so welcome, and welcome to everybody else. The good doctor, 25 Modown, 25 Ty, the doctor, all those guys in there.
Yeah,
Jeff, I saw Jeff in there.
We lost viewers when Dave showed up.
that's obviously.
No, they were starting to dwindle prior to you coming on, Dave, just for context.
Dave, you bring the rain.
I bring the pain. That's what I bring. No, there's some like Naomi's like softball videos for this year. Look at like the batting from I don't even know when it was 2-3 days ago, maybe last week. It's like a 40-second video, basically a swinging bunt. There's like nearly 800 views on that. I'm like, are you people dumb? I mean, there's nothing here to watch. Nothing.
A slap bunt?
It's
No,
because it didn't last long. It didn't last long, so it got more views.
you hit the algorithm, man.
Come on.
Shelby had somebody on her team. It was our leadoff hitter. She used to slap bunt all the time. Demi, was it Demi
Lovato.
Sutter? Yeah, Demi Sutter was
Demi
her name.
Lovato
She could.
Sutter.
She was left-handed, and man, she could slap bunt like a son of a bee. Woo!
Instead, it was a terrible swing because I said, "What happened to your hips in the swing? You didn't. It's all shoulders." And it just died right in front of the home plate, and I'm like, "There's
Run.
nothing." Terrible. It was a terrible at bat, and I'm like, "Why are 800 people wanting to see that?"
Like Gandalf said, "Fly, you fools! Run! Get to first base."
No, so it's been just busy. It's just constant. Not to bore anyone to death, but we're supposed to have a game earlier today. That team can show up, so at some point in the future, I'm sure we'll make that up. And man, there's a lot of empty dates coming up. So the game tomorrow, then it got scaled back to varsity only. So I'm like, yes, we'll go out and practice. Don't have to travel. Hooray. After practice today, the coach says, "Hey, Naomi, come over here." she thought she was in trouble. Well, you're going to start traveling, or you're going to start suiting up for varsity too. So if the pitcher gets in trouble, you'll go in. And she had the look of just like, I'm sure somebody trying to, again, I don't know. I thought I saw a comment earlier from a participant about like pre-war cards versus like high grade PSA Prism cards. I thought
that was you. That was you, Dave.
I don't recall that, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. She had the look of somebody looking at that sort of show title, like. No, I can't comment. I'm on my phone right now, so I don't know where that's from. Has to be an imposter. The best of my recollection.
That's a big fat no.
Hey. No condescending tones in here. So now I get to make sandwiches. So if you see me off to the side, I'm making sandwiches for tomorrow because I didn't have to earlier in the day. And then 5:15 you find that out, and then 5:30 you go to the basketball banquet, and it's just like, oh. Which again, I'm not complaining in the sense of all this stuff is going on. It's got to be a bot, somebody from Russia or Ukraine or Israel or Palestine. I mean, some of these controversial areas of the world right now.
I could swear it was from Sitka, but that's just me.
With Columbia or Yale University, one of the two.
With the same logo as you, Dave. I find
that's a pretty generic logo if you look up Mushroom Cloud on Google and do the images.
Yeah, but do I need to share? Do I need to do a share screen after highlighting the comment and going to the YouTube page and it pulling up your page?
My page?
Yeah, your page.
I think that's down right now.
No, it's not.
Under maintenance, I think.
No.
To the best of my recollection, of course.
No.
And Brad's like, why did I sign up for this stupid shit every fucking time? Every fucking time. There's a fucking clown show around here.
Show with shoes? Shoes with show.
Working with amateurs.
That's amateur hour at its finest.
You should know this by now, Brad. You should know this by now.
4th year of doing this. He should know what to expect.
4th and final year.
I feel like we gave him a good half hour there. So that was
Give it time. Dave will bring it back. Give it a minute.
Oh, the box I opened got some good stuff though. Here, Michael, that's coming to you eventually. I don't know who it is, but he's from Green Bay.
He had an all-pro season for us, and he's no longer on the team.
Oh, of course.
But it's nice green foil.
Yes. And then that for Roberto.
Nice.
That's fancy moss. Nobody likes the Jets. Now, what are the chances I pull this? Look at that. I wonder where
I don't think I have the base version either. So.
Well, you're getting it, so this is mine. Sweet. That's mine because I don't have any of his cards, and I really like that kid.
I don't know what it is, but Prestige was kind of nice.
Yeah, and then I got this rookie for the Jets. That's a pretty smancy card. This one will come to you, David. It's pretty. It's fancy. Look at that with the Chargers.
Who's that, Derwin? I can't even see.
Yeah, Derwin James Jr. Numbered.
You barely see him on the field either, Dave.
I was going to say, I know that.
He's numbered to 99.
One of their many positions of need.
He's so good. But he's just...
I know.
I wanted that guy so bad during that draft. I fall in love with safeties. I just do.
Like ha-ha?
Yeah.
Burrows.
Yep.
And then lastly, the fancy Quandre Diggs. So they're what is this? Blaster exclusive diamond parallels. This box was beat the crap. So I said, screw it. I'll just open it. I don't even know who's in 2022 rookies. I got some cards from my friends. I opened it, got the itch away, and now I'm good for a little while. I got Joe Montana. There's some rookies in here, and there's a Randy Moss base that'll go to Roberto.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, Joe Montana. He's a quarterback, you crazy son of a bitch. That's 5. Sorry, Dad. If I dropped the F word, I did once, and no one caught it. So we'll keep the streak alive.
Go back to the archives and watch. Get that view count up.
Yeah. Let's get this shindig rolling so Brad doesn't think we're a bunch of schmucks.
Too late.
It's not like we were established in 2019 or anything. Let's show that we're seasoned veterans at more than like, what do we got here? About 180, 200 years of card collecting experience, somewhere in that realm, you know?
Well, our podcast hasn't been on, since 2019. So like,
But
obviously
we almost got it when we got 81 more episodes.
When did we all start? I mean, Vinny, not so much. Again, that's all right. You've got the experience, but when did you start YouTube?
2010-ish.
It's probably next month or June, somewhere in there. I was May of 2010. I signed up February 2010. Wonder Boy, when did you start YouTube?
2010 as well.
Mr. Marino?
I think mine was March of 12.
So again, should we all put in like our usernames established? I mean, if we really want to dick measure thimble-sized dicks, do we do that? Stay in Alaska and shut the fuck up. You're stupid. You're fucking stupid.
Wow, he went there.
You're so
All right,
dumb.
Dave.
I hate to divert from our delicious draft talk, but it just is such a fucking dumb flex. That isn't even a flex.
I lied. It was May of the 2011.
Still, I mean,
Close
a
enough.
couple of years before 2019.
Couple.
I mean,
Couple by Steve's math.
Dawn's got a couple years on me, so
yeah.
all I know is this is a bunch of friends collecting baseball, hockey, football, basketball, rare sports, soccer cards, whatever. God, if we take this freaking seriously in life, Judas effing Priest.
GBK.
David.
GBK. The fuck is that? What kind of Texas
Garbage pail kids, man.
Oh,
Come on, Dave. Get with the
Pokemon.
fucking acronyms.
The best was, what's the football player that he played for the Lions, then he went to the Saints.
Mike Utley?
He was can't think of his name.
Reggie Bush.
No, played for the Lions, and then he went to the Saints. I follow him on Instagram because he's like a avid
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
He was a
He's
Packer.
a big,
Oh,
yeah, he's a
Packer. Then he was. Well, I want to tell you something. That guy is hysterical.
Yes.
And he's like, if he goes, what did you say? Pokemon. He's like, don't do that. Just don't do that. You know it's Pokemon. Shut the F up. It's Pokemon. I'm gonna go home and cut into my Pokemon time. And he was serious. He's like, he's gonna go home and play Pokemon.
Yeah, he's a big gamer type dude.
Yeah, and like he was testing the Switch game. I bought it for C for Christmas because she likes that Naruto, like young Edward Wesker. And I'm like, if his dudes say it's a badass game, then my daughter will like it. So
Yeah, he's one of my favorite
He's just
players ever.
he's got such a good personality, and it's transcends football, and he's just when you got a good human being,
Yep.
it's just like those are the kind of guys, we talk about player collectors and what have you.
At training camp last year, he would trade autographs for anime toys.
I saw that. I saw a few of
I
those.
saw that. I thought it was
videos.
Pokemon cards, but whatever, same difference.
It was anything anime.
Yeah, it's guys just he's what sports are about. It's something bigger, and he's a good ball player. So I mean,
Yeah, he's drafted in he was drafted in 2017, so he's established NFL career is 2017. I think he's got that in his Instagram handle too.
okay, I thought so.
So with that being said,
Anyways.
the Packers not needing a running back this year because they signed Josh Jacobs and re-signed AJ Dillon. That's not one of their high priorities, as it were. But one of the division mates as the number one pick, Brad. I know from what I've gathered in this hodgepodge, ragtag conversation, as it were, quarterbacks were bandied about a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, give a quick who you think, but who would, if you were the Bears, who would, and it could be the same, who would you take? Because I've heard a lot. I know you've heard a lot. It's not all toilet flowers, unicorns, and rainbows. Consensus number one. Am I correct?
Right. I would still probably take Williams, though. The upside with that is there. Like I said, I wish he was taller. That's my only, because that's something you can't fix.
No.
So that's my only pause. The rest of the stuff can be fixed. That he does have issues, like ball security of the pot. That's easily fixable.
Yeah.
But yeah, the height concerns me. But other than that, the guy makes some throws that just make you go, wow. And he's got the athleticism as well. So.
And he's been hyped forever and a day, and he's been in the big games. Again, some of the big games not fared so well, but
And he hasn't had the better team in half of them.
Yeah.
So, and he performed well most of the time. So it's not like a JJ McCarthy situation where you always had the best team. He did
and
not.
you didn't have to put up big numbers and try to win the game yourself. You could rely a little on your defense. You could rely on your running game. This Williams had to win, sling and win. Try for USC. So probably the smart pick for today, well, tomorrow, would be Williams. I like Daniels a lot, but it's one of those where, yeah, you failed somewhere else, but that program's been a hot mess for how many years, no matter who's in there. Herm Edwards didn't make it any better. But when you have that ability, when you can sort of like do a Lamar Jackson, you go Lamar at Louisville, you go Daniels.
That's what I said. He's a big play waiting to happen. That's his specialty, whether it's running or throwing it. But the difference in like the confidence he played with compared to Arizona State and LSU is like so night and day that is it just, hey, I got better players, I got more confident, I have fixed whatever issue I had there.
Mm-hmm.
Because Arizona State, he was indecisive. He would, he just wasn't a confident quarterback. So my concern is, well, I brought this up. My concern is zone defense. He doesn't use the middle of the field. They just didn't play that way. So, but yeah, I have my concerns with that, but he has a big play waiting to happen. So,
And I think if I'm the Bears and I go Williams because we just had I say we, as in the Bears, just had a quarterback of that ilk that they didn't have faith in. In Fields, where, yeah, you can run and look like Usain Bolt out there, Cam Newton, one of the two, run through defenses, but first read, not there, take off. Look left, look right, look sideline, sideline. Nope, you're not looking down the middle. You're just going.
the one thing I will say, the difference with him though in Fields is he will run around and look to throw.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Is his problem is he extends it too much. You know, but again, I think all that's little correctable stuff. But yeah, that's the difference between him and Fields. Is he will let it fly when it's there. Fields, like I said, it is just weird. It would be there, and he would be like, "Are you sure I'm seeing that?" That's almost like what it was. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? And yeah. So, but yeah, there's going to be still similar issues of, oh, he took too many sacks, or oh, he fumbled in the pocket too much.
Yeah.
You know, you're still going to have a few of those things.
I will refer back to Brad. He had on his channel Brad 8671. Brad of Brad 8671 fame, YouTube Hall of Famer. Had his draft up yesterday. Go take a peek at that if you want to get some of the more the nuts and bolts. No trades. I think.
I already
Okay.
mentioned that, Dave.
Making sure. Multiple promotion isn't bad.
No, I was just letting you know. I made sure that I did mention it because
Okay.
I watched it in preparation.
I got the screenshot of the picture sent to me of the no trades were prognosticated in this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I just did the one. And I was like, yeah, I'm not playing this game.
I tried to do a straight draft,
Yeah.
and then I tried to do from like on the right hand side, and I only got through about the first half of the first round because I'm like, I don't know how much of the smoke is actually fire because there's so much coming out. And yes, usually that happens, but it seems like more so than other years. It is just like you turn around and like, well, where'd that wildfire come from? Is that a wildfire? Is that somebody camping or burning brush or garbage or what the hell's going on over there? Because you've got every day just something different. And this isn't like a lead up of a week. This has been for like 3 months since like that season ended. Even before, like when the regular season ended, it was already people, well, what's going to happen? Where's Penix going?
I think it's due to the top heavy nature of this draft, which is why you see the urgency of rumors of like, well, maybe I had to go get this guy because the guy in round 2 and 3 is a significant drop off, which isn't always the case.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drafts, like last year, that was not the case, you know. But yeah, this one, I would say after pick 50, it's a drop off. So,
It's going to be
yeah, this is not one of those where if you load it up on the 3rd and 4th rounders, which a lot of good teams do that, this may not have been the draft to do that.
no.
So if you got lucky like the Bears and the Cardinals and had 2 first rounders, you know, this was the draft to do that. You lucked out.
Yeah.
So, Dave, over under on 6 trades in the first round.
Well, you got to do a half. You can't do a regular.
Do it at 5.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say can't do a whole number.
Well, because the reason I said that is because Brad said he only did 1 in his mock, but he said I'm thinking probably 6. That's why I said 6.
I'm gonna say either 5.5 or 6. I'm gonna say over. I just see if you'll have probably. I'm guessing Minnesota is gonna get done. Ziggy wants to put a franchise quarterback in place. And that's not like random it's been printed by him, by quotes by him, like he wants to get a quarterback. They didn't get that 23rd pick from Houston via Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson deal to pick somebody else up. You got to remember, you just signed Hawkinson to a massive deal. Massive for tight end. Who's coming up next for a huge extension? Any guesses?
Old Jefferson. I'm calling it 40 mil.
So, you got Jefferson. You got to make, first of all, he's happy. Make sure he's happy, because we've seen this in Minnesota before, where the star receiver isn't thrilled with the quarterback play and the offense around him. Maybe not to the degree of a previous player, but you're paying TJ 23, 26, whatever. He's getting a lot. You've got Jefferson, who's going to get. I'm in the boat with Brad, and it's a sturdy boat. Because I'm going to say if it isn't 40, it's right there.
It's close, yeah.
And it's going to, whoever's the number one at that time, it's going to be about 4 to 6 million more. It isn't going to be like I'm squeaking through by like the elevator's open, I got to run, I got in. No, it's going to be massive. That might be one thing that people don't take into consideration. He's good friends with Ant, Towns, all those guys. That helps, but it also helps that team has success. If you followed any basketball, you know Glenn Taylor versus Mark Lore, and then A-Rod. That's going to be a fun mediation coming up, I think, May 1st to decide who's going to be owning that team. Missed payments, and they're talking about like slashing the salary, I think like 20-25% right out of the gate. So we'll see. But back to the draft. I feel that they're going to trade, and at some point, I think it's going to be 3. If Denver doesn't offer a first this year, a first next year, possibly a first the year after, and Patrick Surtain. Is that a stupid trade? Absolutely fucking dumb.
They just exercised his 5th-year option, so I don't think that's going to happen.
I think that just ensures that if he's available in trade, people don't have to sit there and worry about, well, will he sign? Are they going to re-up or whatever? That's taken care of. That little bookwork is off the ledger, and hey, we don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, but some additional context with Denver, though. Yes, there's speculation about JJ, which would require them to trade up. But there's also some speculation about Bo Nix. So it's one of those in which if they stay where they are because they exercised PS2's 5th-year option, do they stay where they are, or do they move down, get a 2nd-round pick, and go for Bo Nix? Because there's been rumors about him in Denver too. So I think Denver's pick, it's going to be one of two things. I don't think they're going to stay where they are. Either they move up and they go for JJ, which means they're going to have to find a way to jump ahead of Minnesota, because JJ's high on Minnesota's radar. I don't think that's going to happen. Or they trade down and get an additional pick out of it. I don't think they stay where they are. Just my opinion. We'll see.
And a lot of it we've talked about before. It depends on who moves, who slides. It's always, because I've heard like Bo Nix. I've heard the Rams. Because again, going way back, And this, okay, Steve, I'm glad you're sitting down. This is actually like 31 years ago, truly. 1993 with, I think it's Les Snead. I don't know if it's like their GM, their president, somebody was at Auburn as a coach, maybe? Coaching Patrick Nix, Bo Nix's dad, when Auburn went like 12-0 or something of that nature way back when. So, I mean, there's a connection. If you're really not grasping for straws, but I mean, there's a connection there where it's like, okay, at least know the family lineage there. So at 19 or 18, wherever the Rams are at, it's like, but you sort of have a massive gaping chasm-sized hole at D tackle. So, I mean, that would, again, if like a Byron Murphy were to slide, which right now doesn't look like it's going to happen, somebody of that ilk would fit there, but at the same time, if he's not there, but you've got so many pieces you need to replace on that team. It's been sort of piecemeal and patchwork since the Super Bowl. But Stafford, I don't think, has any guaranteed money after this year. So you can, if he has another shitty season, it's like, well, you want somebody in place because obviously Stetson Bennett's not your answer. And Carson Wentz moved on to back up, I think, Mahomes in KC. So you don't even have that little luxury anymore. But if Denver moves back, it's such a, when you don't have a consensus number one, a consensus number two, you've got like a hodgepodge, a grab bag full of like people that are like, well, I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Harrison. I mean, everything's crisp with him, but he's a little on the short side. You look at one of the other receivers. I like their speed. I like their break. I like the cutting ability. I like their size. I like the way they go up and get the ball. And they still have the good hands. It's like, well, who do you want in your offense? It's just, I think that's what's going to make a fun draft. I think basically after pick 2. So I think it's going to go Williams Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2. And then don't discount like the Vikings, again, trying to get up to New England and throw a stupid deal because of Drake May. McCown coached him, I think, in high school. And now he's the QB coach over in Minnesota.
But isn't Drake May like New England's guy, quote unquote? I mean, it's speculation, but
Yeah.
that's.
I said earlier on the podcast, there's no way Robert Kraft's letting them out of there on draft night without a quarterback.
No.
So it would have to be a minimal. So that would mean couldn't fall back further than the Giants.
And they could do what.
That's 6. That's
Yeah.
the thing with it. It's like, just like people I said had the Cardinals. Well, okay, let's say they're like, okay, I don't have to have Marvin Harrison. Well, they can only drop back a few slots to guarantee themselves one of the 3 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They can't drop back to the teams. So,
No.
yeah, that's what makes it very complicated, which I find hilarious. It's just no one traded it all. You know.
Because there's also speculation of the Raiders looking to move up to get Penix Jr.
Yeah, there's smoke today about Giants maybe taking him at 6 if everybody's gone. I'm like, that. You do that, you might as well shut down the franchise. I mean, you can't keep picking QBs in the top 5, 6. Even if that money isn't guaranteed for Daniel Jones, you need to get rid of your whole front office. You can't be like, oh, a few years ago you picked this guy 1, he sucks. Okay, what happened? Well, coaches. Well, we got a new coach in there. Can't he do anything with him? No. Well, then you're gone. Somebody's gone because you can't be fucking pissing money away like that. High-end picks. And admitting, well, we fucked up. Well, somebody's to blame, and you just pretty much laid your cards on the table. and I'm pulling your card. You're to blame, but that's not how it works. It's always the player that takes the brunt, unless it's somebody, a GM that's stupid like Matt Millen that takes receivers every fucking year in the top 3 or 4. So I don't think Drake May is a top 3 pick. I don't think he's a top 10 pick. I don't think he's a top 20 pick. Is there talent to justify that eventually? Yes. Absolutely. I like Sam Howell more than Drake May. And you saw Sam Howell got a bag of Idaho potatoes when he went out to Seattle. They sent him over to Washington. So
we disagree a little bit. I like May more than you do then.
probably.
I think you like Daniels more than I do. I think it's how it is.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like
that's what it's going to be tomorrow night. Where there's so much.
I know it's not like, oh my god, I'd pick Daniels number 1 and then Drake May's like a late second. I'm like, no, it's the most important position on the field, but it's also the position people fuck up the most because of styles to their offense that are either neither there or they just can't put the pieces around them, or it's because you think you can change somebody into that style. Like, I want a running team. Well, you can't have some of these guys that are used to flinging it 40 times a game all of a sudden be Tony Banks and just handing it off to Eric Reck and go back to a Bam Morris callback. I mean, you can't sit there and Dilfer, yes, because by that time Dilfer was pretty much like, you're going to hand off or you're going to be out of the league. What do you want? What do you want? I mean, you're coming in the league, and now with all the social media shit, all the endorsements, you want to go out there and prove not only to your contemporaries, but like your homeboys, your family, your coaches, anybody that supported you, anybody that's fucking had a negative word against you. You don't want to pass like 9 for 23 for 137 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks in a game you lose 31-16. I mean, that doesn't do you any good, doesn't do a team any good, especially with the capital, the draft capital, and the financial obligations that are being made to you. So when you overreach for these quarterbacks, again, it sets your franchise back 5 years at least. Even with all the fucking technology, every fucking available video, every visit, every top, whatever they call those 30 visits, the combine gets away from being the combine. Now pro days aren't pro days because nobody wants to run or do any of this other shit. It's like, yeah, I get where you were in the season, but your season ended December 28th. It's April 4th. I want to see you at your pro day. What have you done the last 3+ months? Because you already knew you're going to the draft. I don't want to see somebody go out there and be a Jamarcus Russell, look like he ate at 5 guys 3 times a day the last fucking 3 months. So it I would have, like I said previously on our free agency deal, I would have rather had the Bears keep Fields, somehow finagle the number 1 into multiple picks. And that way, right now, if you had Fields, again, not saying you're going to win. You're able to trade to the Vikings. Again, it's an in-division trade. No. But at the same time, you fleece them. They get their Caleb Williams. Let's say it's 11-23, and then you get other picks, whatever, down the road. So now you're sitting at 9, 11, and 23. Take whatever receivers there, hopefully at 9. If Tennessee doesn't take one at 7. Take a tackle at 11. take a defender, whatever you want at 23. And you're filling out your team instead of putting all your hope on Caleb Williams and whoever you draft at 9. And even that isn't a cinch to be drafted because there might be somebody trading up and offering you stupid value for that number 9 pick. That's why we do this, and everybody else is in the front office of the NFL. And shockingly, nobody's come on here and contacted us saying, "Hey, there's a GM job open. You guys want to rally the troops?"
Yeah,
This is
unfortunately,
true.
we don't get that type of visibility. Unfortunately,
I mean, if we had our established date on here, we'd maybe. But
don't think that would amount to jack squat.
Jack squat. You know why? Because in a perfect world, we live in a van down by the river.
Do we
Is
now?
that Bill Shakespeare over there? So
who did you have going number 2, Brad?
Daniels.
Okay, so you and Dave both have
Yeah.
1 and 2.
3, I think we got the same guy as well. It's the next month.
May.
Again, not that I'm high on him, but as the world turns, that's the way it seems it's going to be. 4, Harrison Jr. It's just.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I just don't see any scenario it's not.
You
would have to get so much in a trade package that, and you already have another first round pick. Yeah.
But who would be willing to give up that much to move up to take him? Is the question.
Right. Yeah. I don't think, because like the Vikings have 11 and 20, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't fall all the way back to 11.
the
They would
only
have to
thing
have another deal in place to move back up.
like they did last year with Paris
Yeah.
Johnson. I can see that, but at the same time, why sit there and fuck around when you can get the guy you want?
Yeah, I don't think they are.
Especially, you need weapons. You have nothing for Kyler except McBride,
Yep.
the tight end or whatever from Penn State a couple years ago. It's like you got him, but Hollywood Brown's in Kansas City now, and who you throwing to in the perimeter? Frank Sanders? Rob Moore? Larry Fitz coming back? Golden? I mean, Harrison's about as sure thing as you're going to get. Again, pedigree, and his old man wasn't a fucking lunatic, so it wasn't like a Terrell Owens, Chad Johnson situation where Antonio Brown, where these people need to be committed. If everything goes to what everybody else says, pick number 5. It's 3 and then 5 is where the draft starts.
Yeah. 5, it's like so obvious that now I just think it can't happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the obvious trade. Because do you agree with me that there's no way Harbaugh takes a wide receiver at 5? His first player he's drafted is going to be a wide receiver. I just don't buy it.
100% it's a tackle.
Yeah, if he stays there, it's still just his favorite tackle. Yeah.
And then even if, and again, this is great for me because the Vikings and Chargers making a trade, that's just wonderful if they take J.J. McCarthy here. I mean, I'm giddy because they're going to fail. And the Chargers can trade back and still get. They won't get Alt, but more than likely they'll have their pick of any other
And
tackle.
what's interesting with that is I don't know that he would want Alt. He typically wants more of a mauler, bigger. So that's what's intriguing about all these tags. It's like pick your flavor.
Yep. Yeah, they're not all 6'8", 350. It's
right.
varying degrees. So them moving back, taking what is it, Fashandu, whatever, the dude from Penn State, Olu, or the guy from Oregon State. One of those two.
Yeah, I just thought the Oregon State guy because he's more of the Harbaugh type.
Yep.
Shanu's more of the finesse.
Yeah. They moved back.
Shaw Ferguson, who was amazing, by the way.
Yes.
More like that. Not a dominant run blocker.
And that's been their Achilles heel for a number of years. The line. It's horrible. I've watched it. I've cursed at my TV more than I curse on this show. Watching that fucking offensive line. It's always the right side.
The Raiders may have interest, but the Bears never did. They're cashing in their lottery ticket, hoping it works. They were never moving that pick. They were never.
No, you'd have to offer 3 times what the Saints offered to get Ricky Williams.
They would have to get players, and then if they gave you players, then all the work that Raiders did in the offseason was for naught. So it was never happening.
No, it did. So I'm hoping Chargers trade out. They've got too many needs. Obviously, receiver is a glaring issue. Line. They lost Kenneth Murray in the backers, so that's a huge loss there. Sebastian Day, he's gone. So they need a D tackle. They can just keep trading back. It's a team with multiple picks in the first 2 rounds and try to just accumulate like 8 picks in these first 60 picks. And I'd be happy just because you need bodies there.
Yep.
So
that's why I say it seems so obvious that it's like it can't happen because it just seems like so obvious.
Yeah, it's a sure thing. They have to. No. Yeah. They'll take Malik Neighbors and I'll be like, I don't mind it, but
didn't see that coming. Yeah, it's not even that it would be bad. It would just be like, oh, didn't see that. That's not consistent.
Yeah,
Just like there was a few picks afterwards after I submitted it. I'm like, that's not really the history of that GM. Even though it makes sense in theory, like the Eagles pick, I had him taking a corner. He's taking an offensive lineman.
He's a big ugly on the D line.
He's going to be like, well, Lane Johnson's getting old. I better, have him just in case.
6. Again, without trades, I think it'd be different. But I think if the Giants are going to say, well, we want to see what Jones has. And again, that's the only bad part here. He's coming off a neck injury.
Right. So he didn't really get a shot to do it last year.
Yeah. The money, I'm trying to think how much is guaranteed this year, but I think it's after this upcoming season.
Yeah,
it's pretty null and void.
But you got guys fighting for jobs like Dayball won't stick around if they're bad.
Yeah.
I think that's why I hadn't taken the receiver because I'm just like, you're just going to try to see if this works with Daniel Jones, because he was decent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was functional, not like immediately.
And so Neighbors, I got him going there.
And you had Hyatt the year before, who's a downfield threat as well. So that would be a lot of speed on the field at once. So
yeah. So we've said it before. I know I scream it. You can't bitch about your quarterback if you don't surround him with weapons. I mean, you can sit there and say, well, he's throwing to. If you're throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jalen Addison, and you can't hit him, that's on you. They're not running the wrong route. They're not cutting routes and all this other bullshit. They're not fighting. If you're throwing to like the folks they've had over there in New York, Slayton's solid, but he's not a 1. He's maybe like a 2C. Sterling Shepard is pretty much like 1 foot in the retirement door, and
Yeah, good when he plays, but
they had what's his name a couple of years ago, the last game of the year, Galladay, and that was a massive fail.
like, what happened with that guy?
And I mean, they're trotting out all these other like undrafted free agents and like retreads, and well, Daniel Jones, why do you suck?
Right.
Like you're throwing to a bunch of guys that don't know what the hell's going on, and then the
And
guy
I need
from
that Evan Neal to end up working out because that hasn't worked out so far. But
and
he was
that's why
young coming in, give up on him yet, but he has to work out.
and that's what I'm hoping that if the Chargers trade back and draft a tackle, it's not Latham. I don't want Alabama. You don't see a lot of success. You see a lot of high draft picks.
Well, a
But
lot
I'm-
of them, because they are so well coached, a lot of them don't have ceilings. So you see what they are.
Yeah,
That is kind of the underrated thing. You're like, well, this guy was the best player in college, and that's true. But because he did get quality coaching the whole time and around in a good system, that's about as good as he's going to get. So
Yeah,
whatever problem he has is pretty much the problem he's going to have.
yeah, you're not going to be able to elevate his performance because it's maxed out. So I just hope they don't fall in love with Bama players, and that if they're there at 11, the Bama player, MacArthur, or not MacArthur, I'm watching the Royals right now beating the Blue Jays. But Latham, if he's there, no, please no.
Although Latham has my favorite moment that I watched the tape. He was playing the Florida Gators, and he was beating this defensive end up so bad that the guy quit. And I'm like, okay, that gets a few points in there. Literally, he would just keep throwing him to the ground, and then eventually he's just like, I give up. I'm done. 2 plays in a row. He's like, I'm done. So that was the funniest thing I watched of all the ones. He made a guy give up. So I will give him that.
And you hope that translates into the pros, but I mean,
Yeah, against Michigan, he really struggled. Yeah, he's a bot in a bot. I would almost think he'd almost be better as a guard.
mhm,
And if that's the case, you wouldn't take a guard at 5.
no. Or even at 11. That's
Even
still
at 11.
really high. Unless they're the Raiders, that's about where they take them. Alex Leatherwood.
I will say he's probably better than Alex Leatherwood.
Well, I think everybody.
That's still one of the big. That was the thing. That wasn't even a second guess. Like after the fact, that was it. As it happened, everyone goes, "What?"
That was one of the. I mean, they've had a lot. I want to say there's a safety, and I remember the guy. I've talked about him, I think, during our thing before. A Mac out of like Marshall, Ohio, somewhere. That Kuiper was just so adamant. He's like, I barely had a 7th round grade on him, and they're taking him in the middle of the 2nd. And I mean, they've done that how many times though?
Yeah, they do it a lot.
I mean, what was it? Chris Carter's was a kid that they picked a few years ago, and he's already out. I think out of the league because he had some legal issues. Shocking. God,
Yeah. Like
Fabian
Ruggs is in prison.
Washington.
Damon Arnett, I think, is in prison.
That might be the one. That might be like Chris Carter's kid or nephew or something. And then Fabian Washington, because he had speed, and I mean, you had all these guys that are just, again, we want to draft speed. That doesn't. At some point, somebody's gonna drug the Davis draft clan. And be like, oh, this isn't the 4x100 at the Olympics. I mean, we have to have some sort of ability on the field. So, for number 7, I've got the kid from Washington, the receiver, because of the fact of, well, what is it? Hopkins, I think, is his last year.
Yeah, it's Hopkins and Ridley there, and Traylon Burks can't stay on the field, so.
Yeah, he's not.
And he hasn't shown, a few big plays, but other than that. Yeah, so that wouldn't be a bad move. I just more went with the Callahans. Won't have bad offensive lines.
Yep.
So that was my thought process with the pick.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense there, too, because, again, you've lost some linemen over the last couple of years. Dillard, again. What made you think that what you saw in Philly wasn't what you're going to get when you signed him? Even for the slightly discounted tackle rate, it's like, no, you were paying $13 million too much.
Because they did hit on Skoronski. He was a beast, so that worked.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think you pair him another one, then we got something going here. Because they spent a lot of money in free agency this year. So.
Yeah, and you want to protect Levis, but you also want to
It's
get
the whole, this guy might just be too good to pass up, though, is where the receiver could come in there. It might just be like, one of those situations.
Yeah, so we'll see. I again, either way, it's not like you're shit in the bed.
Yeah, they're getting an immediate impact player regardless there for sure.
Mm-hmm. 8, that's where I just, the Byron Murphy.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
That you look at the numbers and you're like, well, they're not eye-popping numbers, but you want a high-energy space eater that can actually pressure the quarterback from that D-tackle position. That Atlanta defense isn't terrible.
No.
So I think that it's a fit. You're not going to draft offense again.
No.
I mean, you can't. As much as you probably want Bowers, you can't. You got, what's his name from Florida down there? The tight end. I can't remember his name.
Pitts.
My brain is much. So
Kyle Pitts. Yeah.
So you can't draft another tight end in the fucking top 10. That'd be Ryan Thorson, LA, and Rodney King.
Yeah. We're on the same way. It's going to be either an edge rusher or the interior.
It's defense, and it's going to be a fatty around
I think Latu would be like the obvious choice of weapon for the neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
For guys who don't know, he had like he was at Washington, had like a major neck injury where the Washington people wouldn't let him play football anymore. So he transferred to UCLA, got Peyton Manning's doctor to do whatever surgery, and he had an amazing year last year. He is the best pass rusher by far. But necks, that's scary, but he is the best pass rusher by far.
Yeah, you have a medical red flag, and it's a neck that.
So it kind of reminds me of the Jalen Phillips year, where it was like, if you didn't have anything, you were a top 5 to 8 pick. He had concussion problems. But, I mean, I don't know. That's where we can't answer that question because only a doctor can look at it and be like, this is about the snap, or whatever. But I haven't heard any of that, though. But a lot of times that comes out afterwards. People will leak it out afterwards when they're like defending why you didn't take him.
Mm-hmm. Then for Chicago, who'd I have? Fashanu for Penn State, the tackle.
That would be perfect.
Again, at some point, if you've got a decent amount of weapons there, you have to protect.
Yeah, the left side of the line stinks.
Yeah.
Center to right is fine. Left guard, left tackle. Well, left guard, Tevin Jenkins can't stay on the field, and left tackle, he stinks.
So you need somebody.
That would be literally the perfect pick, I think. But I had him taking the wide receiver just because I thought it was going to be one of those fancy new toy that could pass up on. I had a dude available there, and in yours you don't. So that's. But I even said in the mock draft they should take it off this planet.
And then, again, if one of those receivers is there, it's going to be tough because, again, you pair up your rookie quarterback with your rookie receiver, and then those are two positions you don't have to worry about spending money at. You can spend money on the line. You can spend money defensively, but I see Fashanu and then the Jets. If they didn't take him, I'd be stunned. And that's Mr. Bowers. You've had pretty much tight end purgatory there for ever.
I made the joke I wouldn't do that to him by giving him to Nathaniel Hackett earlier in the show. But that's where almost everyone has him at, and I get it. But I'm just like, I'm not going to do that to you.
I will. I will. I don't have that heart not to do it. Then Minnesota, again, this is no trades.
Right.
McCarthy. Again, that's a perfect world for them. It's not a perfect world for the draft. If it is, it's going to be a fucking boring draft. We don't want that. We want trades. We want chaos. We want angry fan bases. Denver. Bo Nix.
Oh gosh.
It's way too high. Again, this is no trades, and it's dumb. But Sean Payton will what's the old saying? Cut off his foot to spite his leg, whatever the hell or the nose, or whatever the hell the old saying is. Because
there's a chip.
Steve and I have talked about it because he wants to prove to whoever's out there, which I don't think anybody cares, that New Orleans' success wasn't all like Drew Brees.
Yeah, theoretically, Nix is a great fit for Broncos or Rams. But I cannot get to the first round.
No. I
can't believe teams are that dumb. I refuse to believe they're that dumb. But I will probably be proven wrong.
So if north of Dallas tomorrow night, probably 8:30, 9:30, somewhere in there, you hear the largest, loudest fuck you've ever heard. It's a long one. It's because that pick was made. There wasn't a trade. If it's earlier in the draft and Denver makes a pick, you'll hear an even louder, longer fuck because Surtain has to be included in any deal that they do to move up. I'd imagine.
Which still doesn't make sense because Surtain's you don't give him up unless you get another first rounder. Like, I'm sorry. PS2 is first round caliber and has proven it. That's one of the best corners in the NFL since he's been in the league. Like, to move up and give up a first rounder, there better be another first rounder. Like, that's the only way it makes sense.
And they might get like a second next year or something. But I know what you're saying. But when you have these folks in charge and Peyton's got his fucking
You're right.
fingerprints all over every fucking document and you get those blinders on, it's like you see like again the toy, the card in the case. Like I fucking need that card. Well, hey, what about this? Hey, I need that card. Well, what do you want to trade for? Well, what are you looking for? We would take this and this and maybe that. And you're thinking the whole time, like, I don't know. And I'd have to get that too. I need that card. Okay, I'll do the deal. And I don't get it because none of these guys to me scream generational talents. You look at it like, okay, footwork is impeccable. The reading down the field, they go through their route, they go through the progression. They feel pressure. They no character flaws. There's no we're transferring here, there, and everywhere. You don't have like that. Again, Peyton Manning, yes, there's stuff on him back then, but you're like, there's not a ton. Ryan Leaf, you go to community college, and then for 1 year at Washington State, you're like, lights out. Well, last guy that did well at Washington State was Drew Bledsoe, but he did it over a few years, and say, okay, I see where that's going, but Ryan Leaf, you're at fucking Pocatello, whatever, community college, beating up some potato farmers. Who cares? And then you go to Wazoo and then you do well. It's like, yes, okay. That's a lot of success in a very short amount of time. And now you've got, again, social media, all that other bullshit factored in. And so I just
I'm not opposed to Bo Nix. I'm not. But not first round. You trade down in the first round, get a second round pick, then yeah, okay. Is he going to be the future of Denver? Who knows? In all realness, who knows? It's all speculation anyways.
Hypothetical here. What do you rather do? Trade up. Again, let's say to 3. Surtain's in the deal. At least 2 first-rounders. Get Drake May. Or stand pat. No pun intended. And take Bo Nix at 12.
If I had to make a choice, those were my only 2 options.
Correct.
I'd go with Nix at 12. Because Denver has already proven that giving up the farm has solved absolutely fucking nothing.
See you, Michael.
Take it easy, Michael. So, like, from that perspective, you gave away the farm for Russell Wilson. You also gave up a first-round pick for Peyton. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't build a future without draft capital. So you can't trade the farm yet again. Because, like, to me, personally, I'm not sold on any of the quarterbacks. Seriously. I'm not.
Yeah.
Part of that's because I'm not. It's not that I don't think they're talented. It's not that I don't think that they will potentially do well. That's not what I'm getting at. It just, I don't like the fit in Denver. Like, out of all of them, JJ and Bo Nix are the ones that have been talked about the most.
Mm-hmm.
And do I like JJ McCarthy? Yes. But like Brad said, he's been on a phenomenal team. Denver sucks right now. They're terrible.
Correct.
They still haven't done much to fix the offensive line issues as it is. So it's like, yeah, okay, let's trade away the farm. Let's get the guy that Peyton wants, and he's fucking hurt after the second week because he gets drilled. Like, seriously? The only way Denver is going to get better under the Peyton regime is that they find ways to create draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
They got to draft players. And if the speculation, if it's not McCarthy and they choose to go Knicks, the best way to do it is to trade down, get a second round pick with a team that has kind of an earlier second round pick and take him in the second round. But if those were my only two options that you gave me, I would rather they take him at 12. If those were my only two options, and that was it. Because trading up, I think, is stupid. Because you're giving up too much.
Well, that and you're not one player away from a title contender. That's the fucking issue too. You're not.
There's not too many holes to fill.
And we got everything else. We can afford to trade the capital down the road. And you just tried that. You just tried that.
Yeah, and it failed miserably.
Yes.
And you're eating fucking money because of it. But yet, hey, we got Zach fucking Wilson, man. It's freaking Super Bowl time.
Yeah.
Well, at least the reports after they trade, it's like he's not a viable starting option. This is like somebody.
I think people are underrating the fact that Sean Payton actually likes Jarrett Stidham.
Oh, I know he does.
So he may just say, nope, we're not drafting one this year.
And that's a lot of stuff that I've read, that it's like he may be satisfied with going into the season with Stidham and hopes that next year they get a high first round pick and their guy is there. You know, I read something yesterday and I'm like, holy hell, please tell me this is not even a possibility. That Peyton was willing to trade the farm for Shakur Sanders. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Like, if that happens, I am done with Denver. Like, seriously. Unless, like, somehow miraculously he comes out and freaking wins the Heisman and he is the best thing since sliced bread, okay, maybe. But even then, like, I don't want the prima donna personality. No. Like, I don't want it. I want a guy who can come in and lead the clubhouse and have the respect of his teammates that are willing to rally around him in order to try and win football games. That's not Shakur Sanders. It's not. So, no. just no. We've talked about Denver enough. Let's move on.
Well, again, what's going on, Jeff? And then Baz. I've done nothing because I'll be at a varsity softball game. It'll only be 4:30 till probably 6, so I'll probably get back 7:30ish, maybe 8. I'll watch whatever's on, whatever I can find on ESPN Plus has it, or maybe I'll listen on the radio. It's like a ESPN radio's got it. I don't need to watch like the actual coverage. I hate it because it's the same fucking. The recycled clips, and it's like, how many times can you talk about somebody, or how many people can you get on and talking about this, that? It's like, you've seen the film, you know who it's going to be. It's not like a surprise. Oh, here comes Victor Wembanyama. He's playing. Holy shit, the Vikings picked him. Wow, what a pick. No, it's you know if they're not taking a punter from North Dakota State in the first round, they're gonna whoever they're taking, people have looked at the film. You don't have to
But
break it down.
Anything's possible with the Raiders, though. Like,
I
you
was gonna say, yeah, the
don't
Raiders.
ever know. You don't ever know what to expect. I
Oddly
enjoy
enough,
it for
with the
the.
Raiders, some of their best picks were kicker and punter.
That's
Well, yeah.
true. That's true.
Leffler, those were people sort of ribbed on him. It's like, well,
I was one of the few that got right.
they lasted how long? Not 31 years, but close.
Fuck you, Dave.
Hey, no, hey.
I like to see the fan reactions on because that's what intrigues me. Because sometimes, like, everybody's excited, and then sometimes you get everybody who's like, "What the fuck?" And then you got the mix. Like, some people are like, "Yeah," and you got the other side going like, "What?"
Ooh.
So
No, a lot of times people want the sexy pick, the receiver, the QB, the running back, the glory positions, and we've said it before. We like the fatties. We like the guys that you're 3-down linebacker. You can play slot. You can play outside in the corner. You can play in the box for a safety. You can drop into coverage. You want to have those picks where people are knowledgeable. That's where you hope your fan base doesn't look like schmucks when they're all like booing somebody. It's like, man, that's a fucking good pick. Instead of, well, you didn't take the quarterback. Well, the quarterback was out of the league after 3 years. And let's go look at your reaction now. How's that working out?
the only thing that's guaranteed with this draft is football products are going to be freaking really expensive.
Oh God. Yeah, I have no doubt about that.
Just thought I'd throw that in there as a little tidbit.
Yeah, if you're thinking it was going to be cheap, well,
No.
never.
No.
I
Yeah.
think who else? The Oakland, I got them taking Penix.
Oh, so we had the same thing there.
So I'm just like, again, no trades. It's Oakland. New Orleans. Fuagua from Oregon State. The tackle. They need linemen. Somebody retired today. I can't even remember who it was.
Matt Ryan.
Hmm?
Matt Ryan.
No.
He
Willie
did announce
Rose.
He did announce his retirement, though.
Today, though?
I'm
I
not-
thought it was yesterday.
I didn't pay attention to the day. I happened to
Oh,
read it
obviously.
today, so I'm not wrong.
31 years ago.
Eat a dick, Dave.
Hey. No nudity.
Family show.
No. Never has been, never will be. We just have never put up the disclaimer.
Then Indy, Brian Thomas Jr. Again, maybe a little high for him. But once again, they've got a pretty solid line there. You got a Jonathan Taylor Thomas coming hopefully for a full season.
From Home Improvement?
Yeah. So you've got Pittman, you've got Alec Pierce, you've got Josh Downs. You add Thomas to that room.
Yeah, it's a type of guy they need. I just, you just don't know how good he is. He literally
And-
ran like 2 routes at LSU. So I just don't know how good he is.
But there you don't have to come in and be the number one.
All right.
And that's the nice part if he does go there. Again, I could see them taking like the Latham or another tackle there because, again, a tackle. It always makes sense to draft line if you've got the quarterback. At least I think so. I might have said that once or twice. I know. Seattle, Jared Verse, again, they can use defenders. They've gutted their defense again. Jacksonville, got them taking the corner from Toledo. Mitchell, because again, they need
Down the
corners.
stretch, they got torched. Yeah.
Constantly, every play it seemed good, bad, or indifferent was burning them. So that leads you to not make the playoffs.
So we're on the same wavelength. I think I just had the Alabama guy instead. So
And I've got him 2 picks later to the Rams.
So it's the same concept, yeah.
For Cincinnati, I've either because I screwed up in here because I didn't put Latham, so I just threw him in there. It's either like him or Graham Barton. Again, you can use another center. He's going to be a good center. Latham, again, did they lose their? I'm trying to remember that tackle he had.
They lost Jonah Williams, yes.
Yeah.
I think they signed like Trent Brown because they have the Brown boys now.
Oh, Joe.
The two humongous mamma jammas, but
So they can use some help because those are one play away from being.
yeah,
open.
they aren't long term, right?
Rams with Terry Arnold from the corner from Bama. Mims, the tackle from Georgia, got to Pittsburgh. Again, you need linemen there forever. So
They're high on that wide receiver from LSU, they said.
well, if he stumbles a bit, I think that would be a pick to take too, because they do need some help opposite George Pickens.
But
the only thing that would be a little weird about that is that they play the same way. The Thomas guy and Pickens do the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can have two of the same thing and just play that way, but that would be my only thing with that is you're not complimenting one another. It's just two of the same guy. Now, it can work. The Dolphins have two of the same guy, and it works. But just be interesting.
Pick 21.
There's only one guy that would piss me off here. And I'm hearing a lot of links to him now, all of a sudden. So who do you got?
Well, I got Mitchell, receiver.
Okay, that wouldn't piss me off as much as the other receiver from Texas, but yes.
Worthy.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, let's draft a 6 foot, 165-pound guy because, we need more of those. And a guy has hands like Quentin Johnston from last year. That is literally the only pick I can think of that I would actually be legitimately pissed off if they did. But they've been. At all these Texas pro days. So it's like, are they looking at the tight end? Were they looking at Murphy to replace Wilkins? Or were they looking at this freaking guy because he's enamored with speed?
Well, they're becoming Oakland, or they're becoming the Al Davis Foundation.
No, I will say at least he has drafted good football players that are fast so far. But if he did this, I don't consider Worthy a great football player. So
no, not again a good punt returner, but you don't draft a punt returner in the first round. Even Devin Hester was a second rounder.
right.
So, Philadelphia, I've got Kool-Aid. Again, same theory as you. It's like they need D-backs, but they always draft fatties.
Right.
So I'm trying to think outside the box. Latu, for the Vikings. Again, they're going to need edge rushers. They lost, what's his name to Houston?
Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniil.
Mm-hmm.
So you need somebody. Dallas Fotanu, another tackle. They just, again, you're losing linemen. 6 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, you had a line that was all world. You're like, holy shit. These guys are going to have at least 2 Super Bowls over the next 8 years. Everybody got hurt. Everybody didn't play up to potential, whatever the case may be. It didn't work out. And you need to start over. If you're going to, who knows what's going to happen with Dak, but whoever's back there, again, you need to protect them so they're not running every drop back for a 3-step drop and there's somebody breathing down your neck. You can't have that. No, and you can't sit there and blame the quarterback, but in Dallas, that's what we do. So, as much as I love Dak, you can't blame him all the time. For the Packers, corner / safety, go to Iowa. Cooper DeJean, that's one of their type of picks. Keep it Midwest, even with the injury. They're always a team that can use secondary because they always seem to either get hurt or flame out incredibly quick.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, like Jari Alexander all of a sudden kind of became cuckoo, and
yeah,
that was weird. So yeah, but DeJean's interesting because he's like just a good football player,
Mhm.
but a lot of people like want to use him as like a hybrid. The problem is, I think he was at his worst playing the slot.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of the hybrids would play if you're a hybrid safety. So I'm like, I think he has to play on the outside or just be a free safety. And I think he's best looking at the quarterback, not trailing positions. So, yeah, that's going to be definitely a system type deal with that guy. But yeah, that's what I find interesting. Everybody's like comparing him like a Kyle Hamilton or somebody like that. And I'm like, well, but he's actually his worst covering slot receivers. So I don't think you can really use him like that.
No.
But he does add return value too. So But a white defensive back, I'm all for it, man. We got to root for it.
Yes. Chop Robinson, Tampa, edge rusher. Oh,
I don't know if he's good at football, but he's fast around the corner.
You know who else I forgot to put in here? And this shows how my brain's working. Probably the number 1 edge rusher.
Oh, yeah. You didn't say Dallas.
Like, where the fuck is he at? That's what happened.
Like, I have him as the 3rd best edge rusher, but
somewhere in the top 20.
Yeah, he should go in the top 20. All right.
So there's that name to. So if you're doing this draft and you're like, man, you got that one wrong, this is gonna be a fucking disaster. There's just so much there's so many moving parts and possible moving parts that even just doing a standard pick by pick, no trades, it's like I can't.
Oh yeah.
It's.
I've had casual people do. They're like, "Oh, that would be pretty easy to do." 20 minutes later, they're like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah. Guyton to Arizona, another lineman. And again, I think they were the ones that signed Jonah.
That sounds right. Or was it the Rams that signed Jonah? Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I'm out of the free agency mindset now.
It wasn't them. Who the fuck was it?
Was it the Rams?
No, they sent Jonah Jackson.
Okay, so that's interior. So, and then they drafted Paris Johnson last year. So yeah, he could play on the other side.
And again, give Kyler some time. That'd be nice. Who the fuck is he?
No, he is a Cardinal. Jonah Williams is a Cardinal. So they did take care of the other side.
He isn't even on my list. Huh.
Dave draws a blank. Write that on your calendar, folks.
Don't, because there's going to be a lot of fucking marks on your calendar.
Do you want to trade your pick, change your pick, Dave?
No, because again,
Okay.
they need offensive line because they've always had people go down.
Never
Put him
had
at
enough.
guard and fucking let him roll the guard. Buffalo, I got Xavier Leggett. Again, a name that's been with them quite a bit. You got to replace Diggs somehow. No, I was up at 4. Same thing. It's early. Too early. Baltimore. Now this one might change because what's his name just got re-up for 2 more years. I had Keon Coleman from Florida State, the receiver. So I think that could change out because they upped Bateman.
He's like a
He's getting
1990s receiver. The
You-
big, tall, slow, big catch radius.
But that's
you
something they
skipped
haven't
Detroit.
had either.
Right. Yeah. Zay Flowers is the exact opposite of that. Bateman, opposite of that. So, yeah, it's not a bad fit. I just, with how slow he ran, I don't think he can reach round 1. Teams just, I don't think will do it.
Night Baz.
But he's productive. He's good. He's just,
You skipped over Detroit though, there, Dave.
uh-oh.
You went from
Jalen
Buffalo.
Poole.
You went from Buffalo to Baltimore.
Hey, no. Jalen
Hey,
Poole, receiver from Washington. It's
Oh.
higher than probably most have, but
Yeah, I've seen him sneak into the late rounds with some of the dudes. So
and that's a position of need for Detroit. You lose Josh Reynolds. You need somebody opposite Amon-Ra St. Brown. Got to keep Goff with all the weapons. That's the thing too. You need.
right, yeah, he
You
needs
can't all of a sudden.
all the stuff.
Oh no, you're gonna just trot out some schlubs. Dennis Northcutt coming out of retirement, and that ain't gonna happen. The tackle for BYU for San Fran, Kingsley's whatever, some of town, whatever. Somebody in the bloodline, I don't know who it is. Again,
Bless you.
exactly. They need to start piecemealing that O line again.
Right.
Just again, and you have to use some high equity into it, especially to protect Purdy. Again, probably get one more value year out of him, and then you're gonna have to pay him.
Yep.
So do that now. Another pick here, a receiver. I don't think they'd take Worthy. I've got them going to Kansas City next, but another something to look at. If you don't know what's going to happen with Ayuk, I mean, they keep on saying we want to re-sign him. He has another great year. It's not going to be $20 million. It's going to be like a 28 to 32 million. So
Yeah, Penny, would you trade your 20th pick and pay Ayuk $30 million or 25 at least? Or
We're talking the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not going to pay anybody $30 million, period. They are
that's what I
cheap.
told the guy at work. He's a Steelers fan. He goes, "I heard we're getting Ayuk." I said, "You're going to give up assets and pay him $28,
No.
$30 million?"
No. When have
I just
you
wanted to make
ever
sure we
heard
were-
of a contract other than Ben Roethlisberger that was over what? What did they pay Ben a year? 8, 9? They're not paying anybody over $10 million a year. Nobody.
No.
Jesus could show up and they're like, yeah.
6 million. 6 million.
Is it post or pre-resurrection Jesus? We want to know the level of his game here. It's like, no, it just I know it's extreme to use that connotation, but the Steelers don't like to pay anybody. They like to, I don't know.
They're the Joeys. They're the Joeys of the NFL world. They want to dicker everything. They want to bargain you down. And
I mean, they got talent, and if they could get people to stay, I mean, Young Money was good. It just they were Young Money, and they just did what Young Money does. And look where everybody, excuse me, who left the Steelers turned into turds. So it just, what's Juju doing?
yeah.
What's the last guy that left and went to the Bears?
Oh, Claypool.
Yeah. Les Claypool's more of a success. Well, he's one of the greatest bass players of all time, but I digress. Cliff Burton. What? It's just, it's mind-numbing.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Chicken.
Sandwich.
Kansas City, Xavier Worthy again. Yeah, they signed Marquise Brown, but now you've got the Rashee Rice issues and shit. It's like, good Lord, you can't fucking get out of your own way with any of these.
It's funny how just certain teams have certain problems with certain positions. It's just seems like every time you try to take something, just something messes up.
Oh,
Any sleepers this year, Brad?
Yes. Well, this is Ty's favorite part. He likes to go out and buy my sleepers. Okay, let's see. Running back. There's always going to be a random running back. Isaiah Davis, South Dakota State. Look out for him. In a very poor, crappy safety draft, we're going to go to the Air Force Academy. Trey Taylor. I thought he was the best safety I watched, and I don't ever hear anything of him. So him, a lineman also from South Dakota State. See, while watching this lineman, I found the running back. Mason McCormick.
yep.
That guy has like 12-year starter written all over him at guard. And pass rusher from Colorado State, Muhammad Kamara.
Which sounds like
Literally wrecked. If you watch the game he played in Colorado, single-handedly just wrecked that game for Colorado and Shedeur Sanders and company. And the other running back I have on here from, what is it? Kentucky, Ray Davis. Played for like 800 schools, but good everywhere he went. So it's like, oh, you're the perfect guy where the starting running back gets hurt and you somehow get 1,000 yards.
who you hoping Miami takes?
I have a man crush on Zaire Newton from Illinois. I like guys who wake up and choose violence, and that's him. I like my big guys to just they'll slap you in the head. They play through the whistle, not just to it, And he's that. I would love that. I don't know that they take him at 21. And then obviously any comparable offensive lineman I would take. So I don't have to see Liam Eichenberg in my starting lineup ever again. He's my most hated Miami Dolphin right now.
At this moment.
Yeah, at currently. But, yeah. So when I put Newton in the mock draft, I think that was more wishful thinking than what I actually think they'll do. But if you want to kind of replace Christian Wilkins, that would be the guy that could kind of do the similar stuff. Not as good against the run, but pass rush wise, gets after.
Mhm.
It should be interesting. More so this year than in past years, as you alluded to, Brad. Like there's a lot of trade potential in this one because of needs.
Mhm.
But we'll see if, like you said though too, Dave, is it just smoke or is like there a full on forest fire going on in some of these quote unquote speculations? And because I don't think like anything that I've seen or come across to this point, it's all potential of teams moving up, not moving down. But of course, moving down is not as fun, which I get. But at the same time, moving down actually creates additional capital. So, like, Denver needs help. They're not going to win a lot of games. Who's the top tier quarterbacks potentially next year outside of Shakur Sanders?
I don't even
I don't
know
think
right now.
I don't think they're. I mean, would Ewers?
Yeah, he would be available. I don't know that he's seen as
I don't
top
think he
level,
is. Yeah,
yeah.
well, and I don't think
No.
he is either.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who supposedly is like the early front runner of guy to watch.
Well,
I mean,
you've got
usually it's too early to tell at this
Yeah.
point.
you've got Carson Beck from Georgia,
Yeah.
which again, next year's QB class right now is not even in the same
Right.
hemisphere.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Again, I think it's going to be more of like what 2 years ago,
The Kenny Pickett year?
like the big uglies and everybody. Yeah, Ewers is like an underclassman for next year, but I don't. Again, unless he has a tremendous year. But like the number one for seniors that they've got, again, this is fucking many years, a year plus out. Igbuka, the one from Ohio State, the receiver. Barrett Carter, backer for Clemson. Another bloodline member. Tuimaloa, DN, Ohio State. Shamar Turner, DN, Texas A&M. Jason Marshall, Florida, cornerback. Trevion Henderson, running back, Ohio State. Landon Jackson, DN, Arkansas. Josh Gray, guard, Oregon State. Anthony Belton, tackle, NC State. Luther Burden III, these are now underclassmen. Receiver for Mizzou. James Pierce Jr., DN, Tennessee. Kelvin Banks, tackle, Texas. Deion Walker, lineman, D lineman, Kentucky. J. Michael Sturdivant, receiver, UCLA. Walter Nolan, D line, Ole Miss. Harold Perkins, backer, LSU. Mason Graham, D tackle, Michigan. Ollie Gordon, back, running back for Oklahoma State. And then Ewers. So again, that's 20 names that will you hear them in the top 20? You might hear a handful, maybe, but
Maybe.
again,
Well, like I could see Texas trying to find a way to get Ewers out so Arch can, start doing his thing.
I'm gonna start doing my thing in Texas, baby.
because there's been nothing but high praise for his, what they call spring ball. Like he's been kicking ass and taking name, but
It's spring ball.
that is correct. But it's Ewers, of course, is gonna most likely be the starter because he is the upperclassman. He's like, but I could just see, somehow, shape, form, or fashion, if Texas does what they did last year and they make it to the playoffs, is it possible that Ewers declares for the draft? Because, like I said, Texas is wanting Archie to be the guy. And that was his expectation. That's why he kind of went to Texas, that eventually, he's going to be the guy. So, I don't know. But I didn't, the reason why I asked about quarterbacks for next year, it's like, I didn't think that at this point there was anybody worth a damn. And I like I said, it's a big fuck no if somehow Denver does decent and they move up in the draft to go after Shakur Sanders. No. No.
Rather them go up in the draft to get Travis Hunter than Sanders. At least he can play on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I hope they don't keep doing that to that poor kid.
No. God.
Make him a wide receiver. That's where you make the money at. Just let him perfect that craft,
I always look forward to the first round though, because it's a lot of the times I keep it on mute anyways. Seriously, because I really don't give a shit what any of Booger McFarland and Mel Kiper or anything. I really don't give a shit what any of them have to say.
Mel Kiper doesn't have a cell phone?
Hey, he's got 4 landlines with no cell phone.
Yeah, I heard that earlier today. I thought it was interesting. They have to text his wife, and his wife relays the message. I'm surprised he's married to anybody because he's such a dick sometimes. But I digress. Of course, most people would say that about me.
I unmute to actually hear the pick. Because like you said, Dave, I get it. It's a bunch of the same regurgitated crap that if you've read anything leading up to the draft, it's the same shit. It really is. It's all regurgitated in some shape, form, or fashion. And, personally, I don't give a shit what the guy has, what he needs work on, what his I don't care. Because we all know, for those who have watched football as long as what we have, what you did in college don't mean shit in the pros. It means absolutely nothing. Nothing. That's just the way shit is. Was that a gabagool from somebody? It was Dave.
I was on mute. I just thought that was some of his stomach growling, but that is me.
No, I think that was a slippage. And Dave didn't bother to say anything.
Say what?
Huh? Huh?
Even C properly announces herself now when she does it. She goes, gabagool. My wife just looked at she's just smiling. I was like, oh, the thing she learned from her uncles at the National.
No. Uncle.
Take your hat off to that one, David.
It just caught on from there.
It was supposed to be the safe word for me if something went down where you had to get COA, but Dave took it to a whole different level.
Yes, he did. Leave it to Dave.
Bless your heart.
Here in Texas, that's not a good thing.
I know it isn't.
that means low. Bless his heart. Yeah. You say that and you're trying to catch the short bus when it's in park. It's like that's not what
Oh, damn. So we did hit the 2.5 hour mark, which we always do typically on these. I think last year's we went a little bit longer. Any other interesting tidbits or any bits you want to add as it pertains to what to look forward to?
Who's Mr.
Not necessarily tomorrow per se,
Yeah.
but even in the later
Well,
round.
the actually the off-ball linebackers are actually very good in this class. Now, none of them will get drafted very high, but if you need one of those, I told you there wasn't a whole lot late in this draft. That's where I think the value is. A lot of good off-ball linebackers in this draft.
Any big guys that you think may fall into the second or later rounds? Not including Bo Nix.
No,
Not
yeah,
including Bo Nix.
not including either of the quarterback for injury purposes. But Jackson Powers Johnson, because of injuries, he should be a first rounder all day based on his play. But
Center.
he's had like 3 or 4 lower body injuries throughout his career already. Sounds like a Dolphin. Let's see. The other one, Nate Wiggins, just because he refuses to tackle anyone, but he's probably the best cover guy. Those are the two like mocked in first rounds almost everywhere that could fall out, and it's for those reasons. Because, yeah, he has no want to of wanting to play in the run game or tackle anyone, but he can cover.
I'd say look more to that back half or the back third, back quarter even of that first round. I don't know how much in that middle of the first round's gonna middle third, I'd say do a lot of moving. Starting again, Vikings, I think they go up. At the end of the day, I can't see these teams paying the price with players, young under contract players, and multiple first round picks for guys that aren't worth it. It's not like you're going up to get a Joe Burrow where you know there's like, okay, this guy's got some, maybe not a lot of a big track record, but you're like, okay, a couple years at LSU, you've done well. Obviously, yes, you've had pretty much an all-pro team around you, but you play well with talent around you and you can command that talent and lead that talent. McCarthy, I'd say that, but again, it's the same thing. You're pretty much an all-pro team everywhere where you don't need to be the guy. Blake Corum, they're back. Also available in this draft. Probably going to my Chargers at some point. And probably far earlier than he should. But you didn't have to sit there and, oh man, we gotta throw 80 times. Yep. You could run. You had another back up there too. I had no idea who it is. Corum got dinged up a little bit, but you've got 2 backs, receivers, tight end. You got everybody up there in a decent line, so you don't get to see the true test of the true mettle of these players under duress, under stress, unless it's like the national, like the semifinals and then the championship game. Because again, that's like obviously top of the line. But I think that back half, and we've talked about previous 3, it's the same with this one. That 5th-year option. Because some of the time, first year, injured, or maybe it's just a red shirt year. You got to get acclimated to a whole new world. No, not a Disney song. You go from college and then like the Lamar Jackson going from Louisville basic offense to Baltimore. 2018, you're not going to throw him in right away. Gadget plays, special plays. Hey, you're down by 30 or whatever. You're up by 30. Let's see what you do. Get game speed out there, just sort of acclimate them. Or you have injuries. So, or there's somebody there that, again, Carolina, top of the 2nd round. They need players too. They want to still get receivers around Bryce Young. Who knows what they do? That's a wild card too, because you got your best receivers, Adam Thielen. Solid year, but he's not somebody you're building with. Yeah. So I look to see some of that fluctuation, and even like a Buffalo, if there's a receiver they really want, if Brian Thomas slides past Indy.
Any chance they try to do a Julio Jones type deal, moving up from the 20s all the way into the top 10 if they get their receiver. I just don't know if it can be done these days with how much they'll just ask for it. But
that's the thing. You're going to have to get 3 first-rounders. Yeah. It's going to have to be like a Deshaun Watson type trade, because you're not going to move from whatever 28 to where 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo and the Giants trading, that's not going to work. That'll be sour grapes for everyone. Chargers, I don't mind them trading back, but that's absolutely useless. I mean, you can get 3 first-round picks, but it's probably going to be 20 or back every year.
Right.
So that makes no sense. Tennessee, same thing. It's like, I don't want to trade with the team in the conference and make them better, and we don't have one of our top-tier picks we want. Atlanta, again, if Buffalo had another first-rounder, that was like the Minnesota situation. I could see that, but
yeah,
I just don't think so. I don't know. They'd have to add a player.
That's the thing.
What do you do?
Trying to win now, you can't really add a player, so it's like.
and the worst part, it's like, what do? Everybody that's up there, you can't. It doesn't make sense. It's like, Jets, but you're not fucking trading with the Jets if you're the Bills. Like, right. Hey, Dawson Knox, a first, maybe another first, and like a third. The 10 pick, and then you take like Bowers, but then you're the other receivers are going to probably be gone by then.
Yeah, they would have to go in the top 7.
And the asking prices are going to be beyond ridiculous. So if Thomas slides to like 18, 19, because again, Cincinnati could take him there too. Remember, T. Higgins is a very unhappy player.
Yeah, now Trey Hendrickson is unhappy.
Yeah, he requested a trade today.
I was like, where did that come from? And I guess all his guaranteed money's done, so that's why he wants to do it.
Tyler Boyd, free agent. So, you've got Jamar Chase and an unhappy T. Higgins. And then Carl Pickens and Peter Warwick. So...
Julius Prior. There, Dave.
Somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact years. Hushmanzada is in there too.
It was 31 years ago.
Seems about right. At least for Pickens, that'd be about right. Peter Warwick.
Who's Your Mama, I think, was 01.
Yes, with Chad Johnson.
Chad, with Chad.
7th round pick, Oregon State. But yeah, I think once you start getting past Indy, maybe even Seattle, I don't know, Seattle might be open for business too, but I think that's when San Diego, the Chargers at 5, and then I think it tapers off again. 11, 12, 13 are going to be dependent on the top 3, 4, 5 picks of the draft, and then Seattle on back to Kansas City. The next 16, it could be basically shuffling cards. It can just trading, or it could just go chalk. I mean, it's not very good analysis by us, but it's really a crapshoot on how some of these draft rooms value specific players if they're willing to negotiate. Some of these other teams want. It's like you want to move back 8 spots, well, give us your second next year. Give us your second in like 2 years.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
why trading 20 to 32 is much easier than before that. Because it's just, hey, add me your second round pick in or whatever. You know, it's not.
Give me a
the
second
farm.
pick.
Yeah. So that's why you'll see, like at the top of the second round, you always see usually at least 3 trades in those first 10 picks because they have all night to think about who they wanted and who they wanted to target at the start of the second round. Yeah. But yeah, they're just much easier to pull off.
Yeah, if Carolina stays put, they could be in the catbird seat there too, making their pick. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, and that's why we usually tune in. So
Yes, I will be watching. It'll be interesting. Well, let's hope.
something happens. Some sort of trade, some sort of shenanigans. Plus, it's in Detroit, so
We haven't had a late pick in a while. We need one of those. Or that somebody didn't get the pick on time. It's time for one of those.
well, how fun would that be?
That would suck.
If at 10, the Jets took, I know they won't because they need to win now. Jets select quarterback, University of Michigan, J.J. McCarthy. And then the Vikings are like, now what? Now what? Because they're not very good on their toes. It's what's going on, Mario? I don't know. I like to see those just to see people under pressure, and I love when the Vikings are under pressure because a fully bloomed tulip
You're just rooting for them to be sniped. That's all it is.
in an early October freeze, it wilts very quickly. They wilt quickly. Not wilt. So we'll see.
Yep. You wanna pump up next week's episode before we close it out?
No, because it's the week after.
Is it the weekend? No, you said the 30th.
No,
He said the 8th.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you had it.
I had given them the option.
Yes.
I gave them the option, and May 8th was Wednesday. May 8th was the date that was taken.
I swear it was the 30th. I must have been reading shit wrong.
Apparently.
But a little tidbit for all 6 of you watching. 2 weeks from now. I'm glad everybody's sitting down, Brad.
Watch the effing show.
We will have a former Stanley Cup winner on the show. Again, that limits it to a very select couple of people. So, it'll be fun. Again, just like tomorrow, it'll be fun. I don't know what to expect.
Well, the joys with that though is we have somebody who can lead the charge with that conversation too. So that always helps.
Yes. And I have a feeling one of the reasons why he was chosen because a certain event happened. What is it? 50 years ago this year. That's been talked about on previous episodes of the show. Nobody knows, which is nice, which is good. But yeah, May 8th. Mark it on your digital cameras, your digital calendars, your digital devices. Everything. Mark it. Mario, no trades up or down. Commissioner said no trades. You have to pick where you're at. No more BS. So
More BS. You got 2 hours to finish this thing.
All you'll hear in your dreams is "ba-da-ding, ding, ding" for the next 3-4 freaking days. Ba-da-ding, ding.
Only if you watch it all days. If you only watch it on one, then you only hear it 30 times. 32 times, sorry. I don't even get to hear that. Like I said, I typically I'll watch the first part until the commish comes out to all the boos and officially opens the draft. And then it's mute time until I see at the bottom the pick is in. And I unmute it as I see him walking to the podium.
there was something, was it 2 years ago? Or 3? 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know who the guy was. He sucked. All these people sucked, but they weren't as bad as listening to like Kuiper, McShay, all these stupid people that you always hear. Let's go to Adam Schefter for every fucking bit of news. And Schefter again has cell phones in his hand like a 52 card deck. It's absurd, and these guys at least were having fun. They swapped out the guys like, I gotta go bathroom, I gotta eat something, I'll be back in like a half hour. And it was an ESPN thing, but I mean, it was just, I liked it. It was a lot more casual, and they talked about what they thought, and it wasn't always fucking Mel Kiper. It was hip.
Yeah, I love when Louis Riddick gets his stuff. Let him talk.
Oh, I can't do that. Maybe they will in Detroit, because wasn't he intertwined there in the front office?
Yeah, it might have been,
yeah. So, hopefully. Let Pat McAfee talk more. He doesn't talk enough.
Yeah, he's doing his thing with Bill Belichick on ESPN Plus. So if you want to watch that,
that'll probably be one.
Admiral Kuiper might be on there too. So
that will probably be the thing I watch then, because that's what I get.
But Belichick actually can be funny if he wants to be. So I'm interested to see him in that setting. I might have to check it out.
It'll be interesting too to see if McAfee can shoehorn a couple like, hey, what was it like for you in the old draft room? What'd you look at besides numbers? Because obviously you fucking struck out a lot. I mean, people
troll about wide receivers.
Either that or the DNs or corners. I'm trying to remember what draft it was. They had like 3 second rounders and then like 3 third rounders, and I don't think anybody hit. Marginal at best, and it's like, oh, Bill Belichick, man, he's just a draft guru. And like, He drafted this Arkansas D end, and he played 5 games, and he's not in the league. It's like a 3rd-round pick. I mean, you should have a little. And the guy like 10 picks after, he's a corner, and he was on the practice squad. Now he's released. How does Guru? That doesn't match. So
I think Broncos or Rams round 2.
I'm thinking somewhere. I'm hoping Denver has to trade up for him. That would be immaculate.
No.
That would be
No.
the
No.
old chef's kiss.
No. No.
Because they don't really have any draft capital, do they?
No.
So you're at what, 1 and 4?
I haven't bothered to look, but I know they have no second, which is why I think it's wise to move down and acquire a 2nd-round pick.
You gotta hope a lot of shit happens. So like Buffalo, again, even though you probably don't want to trade with them, they could come up, and if like one of them receivers somehow slips to 12, you're on the horn with them, and you're like, what are you gonna give us? What can we get? Then you can get their first, probably 2 seconds this draft, because I got the one from Houston for Diggs. Theirs, again, that's only bad part is they're the back quarter of that 2nd round. And then maybe probably something else out of them next year.
Yeah, that's too many things to consider.
Come on now.
The only thing is I hope they don't move up. Fuck you, Dave. I hope the Chargers miss their fucking pick.
I have zero expectation for them to draft. If that happened, I would say yep, that seems par for the course. Maybe Harbaugh was out getting another tattoo, a tramp stamp of his record with the Chargers as a quarterback starting. Or his numbers versus Eric Kramer's number at the same time with the playing.
Yes, yes, Mario. It's interlaced in the about the 45-minute mark, 50-minute mark. That's kind of where it kind of starts. So, for those few people that are here that were late to the party, new poll/survey is posted. If you want to vote, please vote. If you don't, that's fine too. As of me saying that, last I checked, we're now at 10 votes.
For the real expensive freaking box.
That wasn't the expectation of this, though, Vinny.
Well, that's what my expectations are.
That's the other thing, though.
I understand it is, but I still want to be an asshole and freaking open a box while you guys talk about the cards because I'm just a dick like that.
Well, stop being such a dick, then.
I don't know how to be.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I do. I'm just an asshole. What can I say?
Is it really? Damn, I didn't realize that was that long ago. That's crazy. All right, Dave, wrap us up so Brad can go to bed.
Yeah. I would love that too. That would be another.
Well, they need a tight end too. I mean, that's
they've had several.
Do what?
They've had several. I mean, Noah Fant, the 14-letter name guy from Missouri.
Hatchu. Just call him Hachu.
Albert something or another. I think who else said exactly? A booga 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 booga. Somebody else I think went to Seattle or San Fran. They've had enough. They're phasing out their position in the offense.
It almost seems that way. It almost seems that way.
That guy.
Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah.
See, ooga booga ooga booga.
Ogawa Bunom. I wish this was like hockey cards with MVP, and they have the pronunciation on the back. That would be dope.
The phonetic.
Yeah.
Penix Jr. Mario is what we were saying for the Raiders.
Yeah, Penix, and then
I was trying to think of the other tight end for Denver that actually didn't do horrible last year, but then he got hurt.
Listen to the back of this card. The last sentence. Can't blame anyone in Denver for feeling good about Albert, except maybe the guy who sews on the letters of the name.
wow.
Judas Priest.
Well,
poor Albert. Albert
think
got
at
a
the
bad
time-
rap right off the rip.
I think at one point he had one of the longest names, last names. Almost like a Saltalamacchia.
Yeah.
And on the baseball side.
Well, salty.
Freaking goes like a fucking rainbow across the back of the jersey.
I'm shocked LeVar Burton's not underneath the name because it's a reading rainbow.
All right, Dave, wrap us up.
Thanks for Michael coming on. Brad, of course, one of his couple times to shine. We were on our wonderful podcast during the year. Always won him, 3 times. Usually free agent preview this and then season preview. Maybe we'll get him on for the World Cup. And see right there, he didn't deny it. He didn't reject it. So we'll talk about Finland against Uruguay. Finland and Uruguay in a friendly. So must watch TV. Thank you for everybody watching, commenting, live and in the archive. Next week we'll figure something out. 2 weeks, May 8th. Mark your digital cameras and your calendars. Mark everything. Reminders for a show of epic proportions.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hey. It's fine.
Dolchich, that's who I was thinking of.
Dolce and Gabbana playing for the Broncos. So, watch that draft tomorrow. Anyway, listen to it. Do something. For Brad. For Vincenzo. For Steve. I'm Dave. This has been the IRP. Remember, collecting cards, absolutely wonderful hobby. The friendships you forge along the way, even prior to 2019, are what really matters. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.